Gather around, freaks. It's that time of the week again, except for a few days earlier. And the book of the Grimoire of Familiar Killers comes to a close. And you know what that means? It's time for everybody to gather around the warmest fires under the lightningest lightnings on the internet. It's, hey, did you see this one?
The night is dark, and the air is still. The moon casts an eerie glow over the internet, where a group of curious individuals have gathered to discuss their shared fascination for the macabre. They hold in their hands a book with a foreboding presence, bound in flesh and inked in blood, a tome of horror that only opens its pages when a sacrifice is made. Within its ancient passages lie the secrets of the most infamous murderers and monsters of all time. Join us. But beware, for once this book is open, there's no telling what horrors may be unleashed. This is the Grimoire of Familiar Killers.
Oh, I guess we. What? 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 Get you to remove that there. Get you to. Hey, oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? We're here again. It's time. It's that time of the week. You may notice that it is actually Tuesday, and that's because I'm going to Mexico. So yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Hello and welcome to Hey, Did You See This One? The weekly podcast reaction review hangout with your boys and Roys and gals and others.
I like to call this a round table discussion about our favorite Halloween movie, Halloween 5.
No, but more words means the show's longer, and that makes people angry. So we're making people angry. This is episode 129, season 2, episode 29 of Hey, Did You See This One? We are talking about the film, the masterpiece, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And this week on the show, hold on, I just have to get my notes because our guest wanted me to follow a very special layout from the podcast this week. Next is introduce guest. This is the proprietor of the Sonar Network and the leader of the podcasting New World Order. It's Michael Mongiardi.
And the leader of the Foot Clan from the Ninja Turtles. From the Ninja Turtles franchise.
Yeah. Applause.
That's true. Applause. Sorry, I'm just waiting for.
Oh. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
our applausometer has a little delay on it. Hello, Michael. Welcome back to the show. This is the second time you're on. You were on the first time for Hackers, I think.
Hackers, yeah. That's
Hackers. Right. Yeah, we built that whole month around you. So you got to just get a movie that we picked this time. So we picked you the finest film known to man. Probably the best one this month. Definitely not the worst or the stupidest. It's not the worst or the stupidest, but we'll get into that.
They're all stupid in their own way. So,
That's
no
Can
need
I ask what was it that inspired you to do the 4th sequel of all these series?
Because we've already done the other ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that checks out.
We're going in order.
Yeah.
Twice a year, we open the book of the Grimoire of Familiar Killers to revisit these franchises. At first, it was once a year, and we realized, do we want to be doing these franchises for 9 years? Let's do it twice a year to make it faster.
Yeah, I opened the book in the spring, and it works out because it's just about every 6 months we open the book's getting dumber as the pages go. The pages are getting stickier. Somebody did terrible things in these pages. Especially a couple weeks ago for Friday the 13th.
Sticky with blood.
Yeah,
blood.
It wasn't for Friday.
Listen, some of them get better as the Grimoire goes.
It's true.
Yeah. And some of them get worse. And then some of them will just stop before the other ones. So.
That's true.
We might have to readjust for those. Before we get into all of this, though, I play a little game each and every week. Where I put up a little piece of the poster. This week I had to be a little bit more cunning because we didn't have as much time. I should have started on Sunday, but I decided not to because I'm lazy. Wow. But we did have a few people actually guess it right. This is the fan guessing game.
Congratulations! You have successfully guessed the correct answer, which is the answer you provided. Congratulations!
This week, it's essentially a list of names. So here we go. Ben Mason of the BS Bargain Bin podcast got it correct. He does that podcast, BS Bargain Bin. He's been on the show several times. He's a good guy. Go listen to that BS Bargain Bin podcast with Ben and Sandro. Craig Webster got it. Former guest, fan of me and you and all of us. He actually I don't have it written properly, but he actually shouted you out in the original one of these because he's gotten it every week. He basically just said he called you handsome, Michael. He said you're a handsome guy, and I deleted that because he wouldn't be on for another couple weeks
because he wouldn't call me handsome.
Yeah, because we did a little switcheroo, but that's cool. Here we are doing it now. If you're in Toronto, come out to Swan Dive on March 30th, where I, aka Brother Wayne, will be DJing my final night as I will be hanging up my headphones and retiring from the wheels of steel.
Is that this weekend?
That is this weekend. I'm going to miss it because I'll be in Mexico. It'll be a great night with lots.
I have a counter here. I'm going to see how many times Jason mentions that he's going to Mexico in this podcast.
I'll be able to listen to this back in 30 years and be like, oh, that's that week I went to Mexico. If I don't die in Mexico. It'll be a great night with lots of Motown soul, classic rock, new wave, hip hop, and alt rock. Great. Thank you, Craig. Gordon McDonald has gotten this many times. He got it this week. I didn't have to not say the thing he wanted to say. So he said, never underestimate the power of a free hat, which I believe is a South Park reference from the free hat episode. Tim Richards, friend of mine, got it right. Ouch, That Was a Ghost podcast. Just wanted me to shout them out. Ouch, Was a Ghost is a podcast about ghost stories, I believe. I don't know. I've never listened to it. Nicholas Latimer, I went to wrestling school with him. He got it right as well. And Derek Chrisman. Inside every one of us, there exists a dark side. Most people rise above it, but some are consumed by it until there's nothing left but pure evil. That's a Dr. Loomis saying. Also, I wanted to say that thank you for guessing. I literally just put up the picture of his mask from this poster. Where am I? Over here? Over there? Steve's side. And I got every single guess. Every single Halloween movie was guessed this week. So it was fun to just watch people be like, is it Halloween 1? Is it Halloween 2? Is it Halloween? And it went on and on like that.
Turns out it was Halloween 5.
Did anyone guess Halloween 3? Because
no.
Okay, good.
No, because that specifically.
That would be funny.
Yeah. Just the scene from where it shows them on the screen for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. A boob tube television.
Yes. I also want to just give a shout out to White Bat Audio, who provides the music for our little 10-minute intro there before the show starts. You can find him on YouTube. And also, this is our call to action. Please follow us on all social media. You can find us pretty much everywhere. We are streaming live to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube right now. So please give us a follow if you happen upon this. It really helps us out. And it's free. We'll keep it free. We'll make a Patreon someday, maybe, if we get... Here's our stretch goal to get a Patreon going. 10, just 10. And now, why don't we just fucking pull our pants down and get right to our brief history?
A brief history.
My pants are fully down, so let's do our brief histories with this movie. This is, of course, just our... It's right in the name. It's weird doing this on a Tuesday. I feel weird, so it's going to be a weird vibe tonight. Also, I'm going to Mexico tomorrow. Around here, it's our time-honored tradition to give our guests the first opportunity to give their brief history. So, Mike, you finally can talk. I've done all my talking for the last 10 minutes.
Thank you. Okay.
Give her hell, buddy.
Brief history. So what a brief history of what? The movie? What am I doing?
Yeah.
When's the first time you saw it? The impact that it had on you?
You got it. I at some point in my life I watched all of the movies, like in one day, and to be honest, like after 4, when they kind of reboots with like it reboots and becomes shitty mode, they all really kind of blend together and they get really weird. And like I couldn't remember if this one was the one with like the cult and all the cult thing, and I think it's not. I mean, we'll touch on it because they touched on it
barely,
but,
yeah,
barely, in a very annoying way, to be like, just there's another movie coming, don't worry.
Yeah.
So I these all kind of blended together, but yeah, I have seen it. It was fun to watch it again. I did have to watch a little bit of a YouTube video to kind of get up to speed on what happened. Turned out not really that much. Yeah. So yeah,
one of the movies didn't even have anything to do with it. It was about some sort of season of a witch.
Yeah.
Halloween masks.
Yeah.
A lot of masks in this one, though. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Or like, please include that one as lore in this one. We'll put more masks in it. Anyway, thank you, Michael. Steve, what's your brief history with the film Halloween 5?
Season of the Witch? Oh, wait, no. Revenge of Michael Myers.
It's Halloween 5, Season of the Witch 2.
I wish we were talking about Season of the Witch again. That movie kind of rules.
Kind of okay when compared to this.
Yeah. And also, the last one was Return of Michael Myers, and this one is Revenge of Michael Myers, which is so similar of a title. It's almost indistinguishable.
It's almost hard to remember which one is which, because he both returns in both of them, and I assume takes revenge in both of them. There's no really kind of discerning feature to revenge in this movie that isn't in the other movie, and he definitely returns in every movie. This one, while I was watching it, I think it's the first time in our Halloween series where I wish that maybe they did go down the road of different murder. Did you just cut me off?
No, I missed it. My mouse went underneath my computer.
I just wasn't sure if I vocally cut off.
No, sorry.
Where I wish that the idea behind Season of the Witch, where they would make a new sort of Halloween, new tale that takes place on Halloween for each Halloween movie, actually was the direction they went, because there was not really anything in this movie that made me feel good. It didn't make me feel nostalgic for the other movies. But my first time watching it, much like you, Mike, it's like it just blends in. It's like a soup at this point where you can't differentiate one movie from the other because everything is so similar. I guess the one difference in this is that the little girl, Jamie, is psychically connected to Michael Myers somehow, which is never really explained. I guess they both have evil in them.
She was a little bit in the first one. It's kind of like the Freddy movies where it's not really.
Well, yeah, it's like it kind of explains why she murders at the end. She has the Michael Myers psychic connection and then I guess in the next movie they're going to explain it even further, where it's like they're controlling him with a shamrock or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah, there was a moment at the end of the previous one, part 4, where she right before he falls into the empty mine shaft. She like holds his hand for a moment, and then, and I think we were meant to take from that she has somehow been transferred the evil or something like that.
Yeah, it's unexplained and so silly that you're like, well, okay. I always just kind of thought like, oh, evil runs in their family or whatever, right? Because he's her uncle technically.
But Laurie's chill.
Yeah, but not everybody in the family's evil.
Oh, yeah,
just it just kind of gets spread around. Exactly. But yeah, I don't really have a defined memory of watching this for the first time. I've said it every episode of every Grimoire episode. I watched all of these movies when I was a teenager, and I watched them in bulk. So the Chucky movies and the Jason movies, and to a lesser extent the Freddy movies, usually have something that has its own identity there that you can really sort of latch onto as this is the first, third, fourth, whatever. This one, not so much. The fourth and fifth can be blended together, and I remember some stuff about the sixth one, and it at least does have its own identity. But like you, I also thought that this was the culty one as well, and I was disappointed that it wasn't. I was like, damn it! I thought we were at the Paul Rudd movie.
Yeah, and there was even a hint right at the start when you see his body or whatever, and it shows his wrist, and it has that like tattoo,
the marking.
So I was like, the marking. I was like, oh, this is the cult one, but it's not. They just reference that marking and do nothing with it for the entire movie.
Yeah,
literally.
It's them doing a Marvel. And they're like, well, we're setting something up for 2 movies from now, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah, but with Marvel, it's like somewhat admirable because they're building a universe and stuff. Where this is like they were just like, we're stretching this out.
Well, this was Kevin Feige's first crack. He's like, this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna show a tattoo, and then 2 movies from now, it's gonna make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my brief history.
Cool. I watched it today for the first time. We had to kind of rush this episode because it happens early in the week.
Is there any reason it has to be early?
I don't know. There's a bit of a reason. I'm going to Mexico. So basically what happens for me is I expected to watch it today sort of in bits, like 10-minute chunks, but I put it on and I was like captivated by how dumb it was and just watched it. Because I was like, something's going to happen, right? Like something has to happen, right? And then honestly, it was so consumable and it went by incredibly fast for me. It wasn't a slog at all because it just felt like an episode of a TV show. That's how much it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And all I could help feel like was if I was like a huge Halloween fan in the 80s, and I say it's Saturday night, you know, all there is to do is go to the theater and see the movie with your best gal or your friends. And you go and you see this and you leave the theater. You're just like, what was the point of that? I just watched an extended episode of the A-Team, you know, or nowadays an extended episode of whatever, of 911 or whatever. Lost. So my brief history as I watched it today, I don't know much about these movies. As you know, but this one at least looked pretty good, you know, like it had kind of a cool vibe to it at very least. But story-wise, it's pretty much just Michael just starts going, and then he kills a bunch of people, and then he fucking disappears. So spoilers, brief history. Fantastic. So I guess I didn't look yet. But if you want to just pop us into the old director talk there.
Okie dokie.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound. Speed. Action!
This is just a little segment where we're talking about the director. I
love that quote you have of John Carpenter. That was really cool.
That was actually just a recording from the set.
Yeah.
This guy seems to have a lot of stuff under his belt, but it's like a lot of sequels and TV. I don't know if there's much to really talk about with him, but his name is Dominique Othenin-Girard. It's Girard. I can't read. He was a second. So he directed this in 1989, and then when they brought back Halloween, he's a second unit assistant director for that.
But that's still a pretty high position on a film. It's especially if it's not unadmirable to be a second assistant director.
It is a step back, though. This is for the most recent trilogy.
Yeah.
It's Halloween Kills. But maybe he just has a passion, and maybe they were like, this guy was really onto something. But also, isn't Halloween Kills kind of the shittier one of those of the bunch? I don't remember. Those ones also kind of get together in a soup because they all do the same thing where they end and then the next movie starts right at the beginning of the end of the last movie, and they do that 3 times. And it's hard to remember which one's which sometimes.
It's a different timeline.
Yeah, it doesn't. This is not canon anymore, I guess. It's canon to the movie that we started with, but then all of this gets wiped away. And
this is Earth 1 for you Marvel heads, and then Halloween Kills universe is Earth 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he must have got this job because he also directed Omen 4, the Awakens.
Probably. I think Omen 4 was the big, gem in his crown.
Yeah, which was also a television movie, by the way. So it wasn't
also
that
came
exciting.
out after this. So I think that maybe
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, it did.
he got that because of this. Yeah.
So that was probably the reverse. But either way, he's done basically nothing.
It's probably from his episode of Red Shoe Diaries called it doesn't say, but it was an episode
called
and it was
the Open Toe Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah. Really, and it's the most pornographic one of them all.
It was called Double or Nothing.
Yeah, Double D's or Nothing.
Double D's nuts.
A lot. I'm looking at this. There's a lot of softcore pornography on here.
That's what I'm saying. So I think this might be our second time that we've had a porn director. Because
softcore porn requires a lighter touch.
That's true.
Real story going on.
And no penetration.
Oh God.
Well, that's the difference, right?
Jason,
more storyline.
Aren't you leaving the country soon or something?
Yeah, I'm going to Mexico. Tim, where are you at? No, you son of a bitch. Was that okay to do?
It's called the Mexican hat dance. I hope so.
Okay.
I think if he plays it, it's okay. But if you sing it, it's not.
Yeah. Okay. I won't do that.
That's what I'm going to go with. But honestly, that's not for me to decide. Let's ask the audience. Audience, was that racist?
Well, there's 7 of you.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost one.
Jeez.
All right. Michael, what's next? What's next on the which segment did you want to do next?
The sting. Oh, you did the director talk sting already. Body sting. The body sting.
All right, I guess we're going into the body of the episode.
Let's get to it.
Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
The body of the episode, friends and freaks, is where we talk about the movie. It is essentially the podcast point of the podcast for all you people that think that our podcast goes too long. We have rigmarole at the beginning and end. If you just want to listen to this part. This is where we talk about the movie. Steve has left the show forever. He decided that's it.
Him his job. I'm the new Steve. Bye, Steve.
I'm done. He's back. He's decided to come back.
I lost my job.
You're fired and you're hired, and welcome back and go away. And everybody, I'm not going to rhyme. It'd be stupid to rhyme. I'm going to Mexico. So this movie starts off with some pretty cool credits. Where did you find that so fast? Is that in StreamYard?
That's what I was doing during your brief history.
Nice.
Searching for that and editing it down.
Nope. Oh yeah, we decided I can't do that.
Yeah.
Cool credits. great Halloween movies always have a great credit sequence, and then we just get a recap of the last movie real quick, forever for like 5 minutes, like too long.
Movies really love. Well, Halloween and Friday the 13th both do it. Sometimes the Freddy movies do it, but not really. Only when there's characters crossing over, because the Freddy movies sometimes just forget people exist. But I guess it really wasn't necessary for this one. Maybe I guess it kind of refreshes your memory on the characters from the last movie at the very end, but I'm sure if they just showed the little girl in the hospital and had her, freaking out, you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot that she went murder mode. But they even show that after the dynamite part, the dynamite stuff.
They put her costume from the last movie on the poster of the movie, which is weird, I thought, because she doesn't wear that in the movie. She wears.
Well, that's also the costume that Michael Myers wore when he was a child as well. So it's sort of like iconography, I guess. It's just like, remember the first movie? Now she's back and she's Michael Myers this time.
Except she's not.
No, she's not at all.
Niece.
I mean, that was they kind of walked it back, where like at the 4 was pretty bad too, but the only cool thing I thought that 4 did was like the ending was like could have been something interesting. Like she's Michael Myers now, basically, and then they completely walked it back and just like made, like, I can imagine people were being like, whoa, that's crazy, I can't wait till the next movie to see what they do with that. And it turns out nothing. Like she just is in a hospital now, and Michael Myers is back like normal.
Now they're like, how do we make it so that she's not evil? Yeah. Oh, I know. Some kind of bullshit mind connection where it's actually him murdering through her somehow.
Yeah, which Jason did that too, right?
It's pretty much exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do like a 5 or 6 year time jump, and he's all like inside of his own head and knows karate for some reason. Like he's an expert kung fu artist for some reason.
But I mean, Jason, like the Tommy Jarvis character, he's just kind of having these episodes where, because of the trauma, he's seeing Michael Myers everywhere, and the trick of the movie is supposed to be, you're not sure if he's actually seeing the real Jason Voorhees, or if he's just evoking him through his mental trauma or whatever. Whereas this movie is like, there's a magical connection. It's magic.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is a real shame where these movies went, because like the original Halloween and even Halloween 2 is like, John Carpenter, he's a true like auteur. Like it's a movie where there's a lot of thought that went into it and whatever, and it defined the genre, it created the slasher genre basically single-handedly, and then now it's just like disposable factory farmed slasher movie where it's just like teens at high school and laughing, and those two girls were holding their hands together for like an hour and a half. It felt like they're just like prancing through the park and holding their hands, just like like all teenage friends do in high school.
And it really even goes to show, John Carpenter had, he made the first movie, and it sort of cut his teeth in the industry. He had made stuff before, but it kind of made his name a calling card as like a person who made a movie at such a low budget that yielded such a huge return in comparison. And, he enjoyed it. He still comes back to do stuff for the sequels. But in the second one, he wrote the script while he was hammered and, kind of ghost directed it. And the third movie, he just made the music for it.
I'm frustrated that the first movie, I don't like the first movie that much, because it's one of those situations where everything has used stuff from it and that trope is overused, that I find the movie kind of boring. But the second movie I love. I really liked Halloween 2, and I'm frustrated that Halloween 1, 4, and 5 are all essentially the same thing. They all end the same. It's like, where'd he go? Is he dead?
Well, I think that's thanks to, what's his name, Mustafa Akkad or whatever, the guy that kind of took over. And I think basically he saw what a huge success it was. And after John Carpenter, I think, wanted nothing to do with this series anymore. He was like, I want to do different things, and I don't want to keep remaking.
Like, I'll come back and do some sweet music, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'll come back and put Kurt Russell in 3 different movies that are.
But he also still has a certain amount of financial attachment to them because he makes money off of every Halloween movie that's
absolutely
made.
But
which is great because it allowed him to move on and have some sort of stability while he got a little bit more creative with things and was able to pick and choose what he wanted to do rather than
and he's done some incredible stuff. Like I'm glad, like, it was definitely a good call. But yeah, Mustafa Akkad, or whatever that guy's name is, the money guy, he's like, he clearly, to me at least, my perception of this is like he saw that one was like made on no budget and was a huge success, and so he just wanted to keep remaking that movie, and basically that's what he has been doing into like the Rob Zombie sequels and then into the like most recent trilogy. It's just,
and I mean, in his defense, they always do make money, even if it's just a little small chunk of change. They always do.
They're not doing anything interesting or new, but I guess he doesn't care about that. He's trying to make money.
No, he just sees dollar signs in the eyes of the hollowed out evil eyes of Michael Myers, or just a couple of green dollar signs.
Which, that's fine. John Carpenter made his good one and his drunken second one, which, like I said, I like. And if you can build a franchise and just keep pulling the lever and money keeps coming out of the slot machine. These aren't like artsy movies after the first one anyway to begin with, right?
It is, you look at the Freddy franchise and the Jason franchise, and they go along sort of the same course, right? Like they're making their buck with the simple premises, but the Jason movies focus on like creative kills, and the Freddy movies focus on like, how do we make really interesting set design and these dreamlike worlds. But these movies are like, all right, it's set in a small town with
same town every time,
same neighborhood,
4 houses,
same characters.
But like the first one was like Jason. Michael Myers was like kind of like more like an average guy. Like he was like not like a big bulky Hulk guy until later, and that was kind of what was like spooky about the earlier movies, because it was like,
he's held together by evil. The concept of like Loomis's whole deal is like, he's evil, he can't be killed because he's so fucking evil, and it's like, what does that mean?
Speaking of,
I shot him 6 times and he didn't die.
Speaking of, in this movie, they just kind of retcon that he got blown up by showing Freddy, whatever the fuck his name is, Michael Myers, crawling out of the hole right before the explosion happens. He falls in the water. It's almost like they were trying to like do like a biblical thing. I felt like he was being reborn, and he goes down the river, and then he just ends up in this old guy's house. And I thought there was going to be like maybe a montage, or maybe there's going to be like
something weirdly pathetic about watching Michael Myers fall away from dynamite and then float down a river
like this.
He's back, like.
And then when he's in this guy's shack, it just is like 1 year later. So that's all you
Halloween
need.
Night.
And it's Halloween again.
Back again. Always on Halloween.
And I guess we haven't had a title drop in a while, but if you want to play the title drop.
Oh my God. Did I even make
Did you put it on that list?
Oh, I did.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
It says Halloween 5, the Revenge of Michael. No, it does mention Halloween at about, I think at that point it's 6 or 7 minutes into the movie.
The sheriff of the town says, this is the 5th Halloween that Michael Myers has come back to take his revenge.
His revenge. Yeah. I just wanted to sort of get into the movie, and also that was a great segue because of how they're just extending this as much as they can. At least at the end of this one, for what it's worth, they have this like mystery gunman walking around town with his clinky cowboy boots the whole time.
By the way, Loomis the bus.
Sorry,
the mysterious man in black with the steel toe boots also takes the city bus around, which kind of makes him seems a little less cool.
Yeah, shows him put the change in. He has to like fish through like a little small leather pouch to get the last bits of change.
I was like, what a weird choice. It was like him just walking off of the city bus with like a bunch of like
they just wanted to show off Haddonville's very good public.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
They already had a character with a cool vehicle also. So they needed the cool character to have a shitty vehicle. Shitty character, cool vehicle.
You mean the other character named Michael in this movie? For some reason, they named two characters Michael for no.
My notes make no sense because of that. So
I see. There was a thing. This happens with all these fucking movies for me. Is they do a thing that I at first glance I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It's going to be a character talking to Michael Myers and calling him Michael Myers without actually knowing it's Michael Myers. And maybe there'll be some sort of weird breakthrough that Michael Myers has where he struggles to kill her because of it. But if they're trying to do that, it doesn't show, right? You just see his dead evil eyes through a different type of mask, and he's breathing heavily and gripping the steering wheel like it owes him money.
Oh my god! And when she was like gonna like kind of like kissing him and like getting all like flirty with him, I was like, if she jacks off Michael Myers, I am out of here.
I gotta go.
I'm just gonna walk into traffic and never talk to Jason again for making me watch this movie.
I didn't go in that direction. Awful? That's what I was about to say. I was like, my only thought was like, he must smell really bad, right? Is Michael Myers taking showers?
He's a zombie man.
We know that he's. I mean, is he? I don't know. He's just held together by evil.
He was unconscious for a year.
Was he unconscious? Maybe he was getting sponge bathed by that old man.
Maybe my read on it was that old man was like nursing him back to health over the year. But I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, he would maybe come in and out of consciousness, but he's too weak from getting blown up by dynamite and almost drowning and being shot a billion times.
He got shot 7,000 times at the end of that last movie. So if the dynamite didn't get him, the gunshots definitely did. But he was fine.
And also, speaking of that scene, I'm bouncing all over the place. So if that's not your vibe, then just shut it down.
Cool. I mean, this is a bouncy movie.
Yeah. If we lose our place, I'll tell you where we're at.
Yeah. So in that scene, after that whole like she almost jacked off a zombie scene, let's just the whole trajectory of Michael Myers. He was a boy, murdered his sister, was in a child hospital until he became an adult. Then he escaped, right? Then he killed more people. Then he was unconscious for a year. And somewhere in there, he learned how to drive, I guess. Well, and he's a great driver.
We've talked about this.
It's part of the mental rehabilitation is they teach them how to drive because it gives them a sense of structure and rules.
Okay.
And it cuts in half their urge to kill.
That's all I need is something.
That's why my parents signed me up for driving lessons when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I just needed something to suspend disbelief because I was like, he's doing donuts and he's like, I was like, how is this zombie?
Also,
I put him in a car. This
is not the first movie where he drives.
No, in the last one, he hijacks a truck and he drives all over the place.
But I did write my notes. It's always off-putting to see Michael Myers behind the wheel.
With the mask on? Doing it. Yeah.
He turns on the radio and it's just like.
Yeah. It's the Mexican hat dance.
That's a good one, World Mind. I thought Myers' organs were made of snakes. I mean, they're made of evil, so snakes are evil, right? I mean,
that's what happens in the third one when the masks turn into muck or whatever. All bugs and snakes come out of them.
Yeah, there was a part in after the second movie and in the beginning of the fourth movie, they've gotten him and they've like mentally frozen him. They've just been sedating him for a year. It's another one of those. It's been a year. And he just like snaps out of it when they're moving him from one facility to the other. Like that's why they show at the end of this movie when Loomis is just shooting tranq darts into him, they're like not affecting him. So I wanted to call that out, but this isn't the first time that he's just been like frozen in time. It's kind of like
he has to freeze every year. He has to freeze for 1 year because he's only allowed to kill on Halloween Eve.
Yeah, they need a reason why he is dormant for exactly 1 year to the day.
Because the curse allows it. We will say no more. Speaking of curses, this kid is just in the hospital, just convulsing. Did you find it funny they had her hooked up to this like machine that's reading her brainwaves, but it's 1989, so what information are they gleaning from this? These scientists don't know.
Like, wow, these lines are really squiggly. It must mean something.
She must be freaking out. It's like the nurse like look at her.
test or whatever. But like, I don't know. We've seen this before in like Return to Oz and stuff, where it's just like we have a kid hooked up to a machine and there's a bunch of squiggly lines and the doctors are like, we don't need to know what that means.
It must be.
I was more concerned about the fact that this is the first of many. She freaks out and she's having, like an episode brought on by Michael Myers' return, I suppose. And the doctor comes up, or the nurse, I suppose, comes up and just grabs her by the sides of the head and says, like, "You're just having a dream." And it's like screaming into her face. And I'm like, this is definitely what they teach you in nurse school, right? When somebody's having an episode, you grab them by the sides of the face and scream that they're going to be all right. But this happens over and over, over and over in the movie.
Where she was this where she was like choking or she couldn't breathe?
It's the beginning of that.
And he was like trying to do a tracheotomy on her, and like Loomis was like, "No,
Loomis shows up.
her."
Loomis shows up out of
just
nowhere.
Yeah, he's at this hospital in the middle of the night for some reason.
He always appears from like, if the door is open, he appears from behind the door a lot for some reason. Like he's been hiding behind a door to be like, "No, I know all the secrets of Michael Myers," and everybody's like, who keeps letting this guy in here? His face is all burnt. His hand is all burnt.
Like Gene Parmesan from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Loomis, Dr. Loomis.
And it did dawn on me, and I don't know why I never thought about this before, but the Dr. Loomis is always the one with the gun. Like, he's a doctor. He's always got guns, and he's shooting guns all the time.
Well, I have to kill the evil.
Like this old man is the action star of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm also like, they took his gun away after the last 3 times he just unloaded and is running around waving guns at people constantly. Yeah. It's like, well, he got another gun. How? Did he go buy it? Did he steal it? Did he buy it on the street? Did he go to a legitimate gun store? Did he pass the mental screen tests that you need to buy a gun? But
that man is not passing a mental
screen. In 1989, you either have that serial number scraped off, or it was 1989, and you can just go into a gun store and buy it.
Yeah. You go into a gun store and there's at least 4 people in there with half-burned phases trying to buy guns.
I'll be like, could I use this for revenge if I wanted to? The guy's like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, excellent. That's a yes.
So what are you buying a gun for? I'm buying a gun to exterminate evil. Oh, that's why I'm buying a gun too. Evil must die tonight.
Yeah, so you're right, Mike. She's the doctor's like, I'm going to give this girl a tracheotomy because she can't breathe. And then Loomis stops it because there's a segment that I wanted to do. We haven't built a sting for yet, but it's called credits. And it's the point in the movie where if a thing happens, the credits roll. I thought it would be funny right here that he gives her the tracheotomy and the credits roll.
Yeah. He just murders the protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very jarring. I mean, basically everything he does is jarring, but he's just like, no. And the doctor's like, no, we need to do this procedure. She's going to die. And for some reason, he's like, no, she's not choking. She'll be fine. Let it sort itself out.
Yeah, it'll pass. Yeah.
Doctor, it'll pass. Yeah, it'll pass. But choking will pass.
And the nurse is also like, you want her to die, don't you? And he's like, no. Kind of, but no.
Yeah,
not right now.
I don't want her to die, but if she did, I wouldn't be like heartbroken about it.
Because she's kind of got a evil inside her too. So if she dies, it's probably fine.
Well, he tries to shoot her at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, why do they keep letting him in the hospital? He literally tried to shoot a child. Obviously, the child did stab somebody.
That's funny.
World Mind has a great point, but yeah, he's wrong. He says he's a doctor and there's no illness a bullet can't cure. He's wrong because only thing a bullet can't cure is a gunshot wound.
That's true, actually. Yeah. So I have to take your message down. Sorry, World Mind. Shout out to Hold Up, a movie podcast, the sister movie to our podcast, technically, I would suppose, on the Federation of Podcasts United Federation of Podcasts.
Oh, is this a competing podcast network? Do we have to fight?
We're part of an upstart. Don't worry about it till you have to.
Do you guys think the alternative title for this movie was Magic Mike?
Yeah. I think it was Magic Mike XXL.
I think the alternative title to our guest this week is Magic Mike.
On account of his big fat dong. Have you ever seen the dong that Michael Myers has, that big fucking crank on him? That big dangler?
He's got a wrench.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
They call it the spanner. Across the pond.
Have you seen that scene in the second movie when there's a grass outline of him?
I haven't seen this thing on. Is there just like an indentation?
I'm going to put this up. Can I put this up? Is this an acceptable thing to do?
I think if you can do it, if there's a will, you should be able to make your way.
Okay.
We're not a G-rated podcast, but we're not an NC-17 rated podcast. So don't.
But it's not gonna get you kicked off of Twitch or anything. But I just need everyone to see the Mike. I think it's important because we're talking about Michael Myers here, and I think everyone needs to see who the Michael Myers, the true Michael Myers is that we're working with here.
Magic Michael Myers.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for this, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Michael, the ratchet, the rocket,
the spanner, the planner.
That's just you. That's just a picture of you.
Wait a minute.
Okay. So I'm going to move my screen out of the way. And look at the dong on this guy. So much so that it was an outline in the grass.
Okay.
What the fuck is happening? Is that a joke by the...
No, that is in the movie because I've seen it in the movie when in the second movie, right when it starts, because it's like, remember Michael Myers gets shot out the window by Loomis, and then they look out the window and his body's gone. That is in the second movie. It opens with this fucking dong.
This dong shot.
Look how big that guy's wiener is.
What?
Dong 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 dong.
Well, he truly is Magic Mike Myers, isn't he? Speaking of giant things, how about the gaps in the bars to that mental facility? The whole dog can get through. When they smash the window, like they're window-sized holes in the bars. What are the bars for? They're not to keep people out or in. They're there for decorative purposes. So when you drive by, you're like, oh, that's the old mental facility.
Yeah.
But just so people know that there's crazy people in there. You can tell because there's bars on the windows.
That's a really good point. I didn't clock that. Were they just giant?
They're huge because they open the window and then a human friend and a dog fit in through the window. And then seconds later, a rock goes through the window.
Sorry.
And I guess logically they're like, well, they can't be tiny bars because they just walked through the window. I didn't clock whether or not the bars were even there the first time they opened the window, but I did clock when the rock goes through that the bar holes are giant.
I remember that because that's like my next note because I don't think that there were bars on the side that were at her bed, but when we get that little moment of like, oh, Jason's fucking Michael Myers is around because a rock goes through the window, the bushes are shaking, the dog's freaking out. You're right. When they show that window, I didn't clock it because they are so wide.
Well, this is the thing that I hate sometimes about our show is when we do come across a movie that is bad, I end up getting so nitpicky. And I usually, one of my most largest pet peeves about talking to people about movies is when they get nitpicky about reality. I'm like, it's a movie, don't worry about it. But when I'm focusing on this stuff, it's just because I don't have anything else to talk about.
But they did a bait and switch to us like right after this. Speaking of continuity and speaking of nitpicky, I thought that dog was fucking gonna buy the farm. Yes, because Michael Myers canonically eats dogs for sustenance. It seems like,
which also means that he goes to the washroom, which is weird. I was thinking about that too because my mind couldn't focus on the movie. I'm like, so if he eats, then he
just shits his fucking pants, and
which then played into like he probably smells bad because he doesn't bathe and he has to shit because he eats all those dogs.
I guarantee he's not like finding a toilet and like cleaning up after himself. He's just letting it loose like a toddler. Like when a toddler is shitting and they're just like that's
when he's like
he's just chasing after someone and he just stops.
Yeah. Or you turn and you see he's standing half behind a bush and he's just kind of like standing there and you're like, oh, Mikey's doing a ding dong.
He's shaking up. He's shaking one out of his pant leg right now. Dog meat, surprisingly, no diarrhea, so it just comes right up the pant leg. Boom, solved. Nope, Max lives. Max the dog. Mike is just stalking, though. This movie has some.
He didn't eat the cat either. You'd think he clearly eats pets.
They were trying to retcon his love of eating animals that the first 3 that he's in have made very clear that he eats the animals, consumes them. We've talked about it at length. But the stalking, that's intact. And the stalking in this movie I thought was one of the best things, because they do this thing in this movie where he's just like constant, especially in this like first act. He's just constantly in the background of like every shot where he, that he's there.
But there's also
always
times where
turning and walking around a corner, or like he's out of frame, or he's blurry.
Well, there's also points where it's his POV, and he's looking at people, and it's meant to be the POV because the camera is, doing the POV thing, and people are looking directly at him and not seeing it, not seeing him. I'm like, they're looking at the camera. How do they not see him? Like this, there's the shot where, what's her name? Tina, I think. She shows up to the house and she's like, "Oh, hey, where the frick are you? I'm here." She looks at him like 3 times, and then it does the like hide behind the threshold, pop back out of the threshold. She's looking right at him. Like, I would love to see the opposite of that, where it's actually Michael Myers just like,
he breathes so comically heavy every time it does his POV too. He's like, I really liked the Tina character. They did like normally she'd be the annoying character, but they teased her as the final girl throughout the movie, and I liked her bubbly personality. I think I just liked her, and
Jason liked that she was dumb and horny. That's why you liked her. Don't lie.
Listen,
Jason.
Is this movie secretly my therapy and I'm just working through things? But I like that they did the misdirect of the final girl thing, because Alice gets fucking capped right before the scene you were talking about, Steve, where she comes to the house and she's like,
"Yeah,
Alice, we have the house all to ourselves."
Don't you guys think that, like, doesn't that make her character almost redundant? It's like it was implied that she was murdered at the end of the last movie. Why not just make her murdered? I guess have a passing of the child from one person to another within the film, they want to have what was her name? Jamie?
There was Alice, and then there was Tina, and then when Alice dies, Tina meets her new friend who looks exactly the same as Alice, named Sam.
Yeah, replace one blonde with another blonde.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you're getting a little old, Alice. We can't have you in 2 of these friggin' movies. We need a younger one.
I would have preferred Alice, but I think that maybe Alice, the actor, was like, "I'm good. I'll come and I'll do the passing of the torch thing," but she's too good. Like, she's actually a good actor, and she probably didn't need to do it. And the fact that she did, I guess, is good. But maybe she did. I don't know. I didn't really look too deep into her IMDb after this, or during the hiatus of, I think, 1 year. I think this movie started filming before they even had a script. Like, it was like the other movie was released, and then the next day they're like, "All right, let's start filming the next one. All right, let's shoot this piece of shit."
Let's shoot this piece of shit. Because the next one is definitely a let's shoot this. It's got to be, because it's probably in production when this movie.
The next one at least has some weird, interesting stuff going on. It's bad, but it's better than just redoing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, but I mean, it went way too far, I thought, because this one, like, Halloween at its core is very simple. It's just like a very simple story, and what's so scary about it is that it's kind of so simple, and it's kind of just in a suburb and could happen to anyone, but like, then it's like, by that movie, it's like crazy. There's like a secret society of underground cultists that are summoning evil spirits or something, and it's just like, how did Halloween even get there? If you just watched 1 and then 6, I think you would simply melt into a puddle. Don't do that. You might die.
6 almost feels like it takes place in the world of 3, like where they could have somehow bridged the gap between like this thing being real and not real.
That's what they're trying to do, though, in my opinion, is they want all the movies to be a cohesive thing. So since Loomis mentions the cult stuff in 2, 3 goes full cult, no Michael Myers. The last one introduces a little bit of the psychic stuff, and then
the
this
third one has the movie in the reality of the movie. Like Halloween 1 exists in Halloween 3 as a movie. It's like it would be like watching like a Quentin Tarantino. It would be like watching a Quentin Tarantino movie and them watching Kill Bill on a TV in the Quentin Tarantino movie. And then in the next movie, the characters from that being in the movie with the characters.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare. You know,
that's not you haven't seen Wes Craven's New Nightmare, so you can't.
I have seen
that's not a good comparison.
I'm just saying you could easily say like, oh, in the world of the third Halloween movie, they've made a movie about the events of the first movie.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
Like what they did in Scream. What was it called in Scream? Shriek or something like that.
Yeah.
The movie about the Scream.
They could definitely do that, except the one thing that you can argue against that is that they show what's her name, Jamie Lee Curtis on the TV. I guess maybe they got a really good lookalike. She looks exactly like the real person, or they got her to act in the movie, recreating the deaths of her friends and family.
I think the difference is that movie is not meant to happen in that universe. It was meant to be an anthology.
Yeah,
it just never took off, and they went back to Michael Myers again.
I do think though, like by the sixth movie, which we'll talk about when we get there, I am tired of the Michael Myers stuff that's happening, so I was kind of refreshed by having something new, even though I do agree that it's bad. I'm like, okay, at least we've got something weird happening in here, and it's not just the same thing over and over again. But all these movies are like, we want to introduce magic so that we can do anything, right? As soon as you introduce magic, you can do anything you want without having to explain it. And people can't be like, well, what about this? It's like, oh, he turned into mist and went through the keyhole or some shit.
Yeah, even the Friday the 13th movies, I guess they just kind of run out of stuff, and the next thing is like, I don't know, I guess magic.
Yeah. He doesn't Jason come back on the next one with a lightning bolt, or is that even still later?
Yeah. We're still in Jason Voorhees as a real man, but the next one, Jason, is when we finally get our zombie Jason Voorhees that we've been waiting for 6 movies.
That's when Corey Feldman is all grown up.
Yeah, and the 5th one is when he's all grown up, but he's like a teenager in a halfway house kind of thing, like a foster care home, and then he's crazy and he has maybe I think we counted like 22 lines of dialogue or something in the entire movie.
Like 22 words of dialogue.
Oh yeah, words.
Yeah. Wow.
He does attitude adjust somebody through a table though, which is crazy. Yeah. He picks them right up and fucking dumps them. He
spin kicks and he's like a video game a fight video game character, like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter or Tekken or something. He's just like doing combos on people. Yeah. And then the next one we get like Tommy Jarvis Monster Hunter, and that's better. It's better. He's hunting Jason. He's not just like scared of his own shadow and dealing with hicks and stereotypical characters that are dying around him.
Yeah, the cast for that movie was the most stereotype cast you've ever seen. Like so tropey. The tropes are probably based off of them. And then we did the Freddy movie last week, and they introduced like tropey characters again, but they at least had some depth. And at least in this one, the cast is like they don't even give them any real personality. They just sort of like this couple wants to bang and they're funny, and then Tina's running around being loosey goosey, and
don't forget Michael.
Well, Michael, we're introduced
his car.
We're introduced to Michael now.
I might say he's in love with his car.
He's kind of like the greaser characters from that Friday the 13th movie, but yes, he loves his car.
Wait, we forgot to talk about one thing. The fact that she calls the cops, like Loomis, Jamie has another seizure. I guess we can call it a seizure, which I hate in movies, and they do it a million times.
They're like visions, though, sort of.
They're visions, but she's like seizing up and shaking, and it's painful to watch because it's like, okay, we get it. Maybe just have her like her eyes roll back. We don't need to have this whole song and dance every time it happens. And they tell her to go check on the dog. The dog runs away. she runs out in a towel, talks to her neighbor or whatever, and then we get the cops, the introduction of the cops.
Oh my god!
Which is like, it's like, okay, they're cops, but also it's like
these dudes, they
slide whistle and shit.
Comically large prosthetic chins on both of these guys, or is that what they look like? I couldn't figure it out.
I think they were that's just what they look like. I didn't notice any.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but that music, I was just thinking like John Carpenter must be rolling over in his grave. He's not even dead, but he probably killed himself.
He sleeps in a grave every night, though.
He does sleep in a grave, and he rolled
the
over.
coffin from the end of the movie is actually his bed.
Yeah, just like that like dopey tuba music.
Yeah,
it's Vulcan's skull from the Power Rangers music.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like the German spies. Every time they're up to like kookiness, it's just like it was so out of place, and it doesn't exist in any other movie.
No,
it's like what's going on here? And it happened every time they're on screen, and they don't have anything to do, and they're not even really acting that goofy. It's not like they're bumbling idiots. They're just like, oh, we had to go, look for your dog or whatever.
They're just slightly goofy.
But the background music implies that they're like the biggest dumbasses in the entire town.
I mean, at worst, if it wasn't for that dopey music, I think we would think like, oh, these cops are kind of lazy. Mm-hmm. Like there was a moment where they were like sitting in their car and they were like, oh, I heard something. And then they were like, oh, it's probably nothing or whatever, something. But other than that, it was like, they weren't that bad. They were just kind of sitting around. They weren't like tripping over their shoelaces and like putting pies in each other's faces or whatever.
Yeah, or like eating a donut and they're like covered in like chocolate or whatever. Like, it's just like
I was expecting that when I heard that music. I was like, okay, these guys are going to be like stepping into like mop buckets and like sliding into the
rakes, like one of them gets in the car and like goes to look at the window and the window's closed and he like bonks his face into it. You were expecting cartoonish behavior because the music is out of a cartoon, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. I just wonder what the thought process there was.
I think the thought I was thinking about this, and I think the thought process was like, we need like comic relief in a movie that's so fucking grounded that the comic relief is almost just normal by comparison to how grounded the world is. But we also want to create characters that people are going to remember. For what it's worth, I will remember the chin on one of these guys, his butt chin, forever, right? But I don't think that was the intended purpose. And the goofiness of it will be something, a little inside joke that me and Steve will probably have, or not. Well, we might all just forget about this.
I mean,
tomorrow.
I don't remember any of their dialogue that I can even work that into it. Oh, it looks like your dog's coming down the street again.
See, my theory here, which is purely speculation, was more like behind the scenes, because like Halloween 1, kind of defined the slasher genre, started a trend, and then now we're 11 years later. There's a million different slasher movies, and a lot of them have trended more into like having like a little bit of a comedic element in them. And I feel like they were trying to force some comedy in, and they didn't have any. And these two cops were the only place.
Having done Jason and Nightmare, there is a lot of comedy happening in there. Not so much in Freddy; it's a little bit more gross. That's sort of like 90s gross out humor, which is like gross to me. But in Friday, there's like, the lady calling her son "You big dildo, eat your slop," and that kind of stuff, and you're just like, okay, this is supposed to be funny.
And definitely Nightmare on Elm Street went into comedy territory.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good theory.
Nice. We haven't been able to use that one either because we don't really have a. Let's play that one after people do theories instead of making it like a segment. I like it. We're cooking here on Here. Did you see this one this week?
And then we get the scene of Jamie, and she's crying because of everything that's happening, and Donald Pleasence. This is when you get the moment where he starts to like get real close to her and like whisper and yell at her, and she's crying, and you're like, ugh, She's probably crying because he has like horrible whiskey breath. I'm pretty sure Donald Pleasence was like a notorious alcoholic.
Like on set, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that he was drinking tea at tea time. I think he's drinking an Irish coffee or whatever.
Hold the coffee.
Yeah. I guess this is around when
we
meet Michael and Alice dies.
Alice gets click-clacked. I said that. I guess we should talk about that a little bit because she's the main character of this last one. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even put together that she's a legitimate actor. So she probably had wanted nothing to do with this and was like, I'll come back to establish me. I'm also confused about, so in the last one, she was like a foster child with Jamie with these parents, right? And then was Tina in the last one?
No,
I don't think so. She's introduced us to this new friend, but Jamie knows Tina from this last year, I guess, and they've become best buds. So she's got this like connection to her, like what she had with Alice. Also,
sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I'm very confused. Who's Alice? Is that Rachel?
Sorry, Rachel.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
I don't know why I got Alice.
Everyone's
Alice is from the last movie.
Well, who's Rachel?
Rachel is the person we're talking about.
But
So this isn't the person from the last movie?
Alice is the person from Freddy. Alice isn't Freddy.
Oh,
yeah. Is mixing up the heroines.
Right. Because they're both the same also.
Yeah.
Just generic blonde scream queen who runs away and screams and is in various states of undress. This one, though, of all four movies, had the least nudity. I will say. We saw bare doll breasts in Seed of Chucky. There's no actual nudity in this one, making this one weirdly the least sexual. Even though there's making this one. Imagine there's just a segment for me to like deep dive on.
I mean, you do it every time.
It's true, but these old horror movies, they just like it's part of the like DNA of the movie. Like,
yeah, but the Halloween movies are not they're not to the level of the Friday movies.
That's true.
They're not about that, and they're not there for titillation. They're there for scares. They're supposed to be scary, whereas the Friday the 13th movies are not really scary and never have been. They're just there about exploitative kills and nudity. The Chucky movies were the same way. The last one, there is a bit of nudity at the beginning, and even the Freddy movies aren't all about having that level of nudity in them. But the Jason movies have always been that way. It's like out of the gate, they're like, all we need is good kills and good boobies. Let's go. Let's shoot this piece of shit.
Let's to get a 10-minute sequence of them skinny dipping for some reason in every one of them. Yeah, you're right. And that's just a theory. The girls are talking, and he's literally the background by a tree. This getting to the introducing Michael is when it starts to get confusing in your brain because it's not like Tina calls Michael Mikey, but he's referred to as Michael also.
Yeah,
like his legal name.
Just confusing. It's just a bad choice all around. There's no good reason for it.
Well, I think she only starts calling him Michael after Mikey is dead. Like when she goes up to the car, she's like, "Let me in, Michael. Michael." You know when you're annoyed with somebody and you say their long form name rather than the nickname you give them? I think that was the point. But it's also there to be like, she's calling him Michael, like Michael Myers, like the name of like no one says Mike Myers when they're talking about Michael Myers.
Groovy, baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens when you do it. But the characters, even in the movies, always call him Michael Myers. They don't say like, Mike is evil. It's evil Mike. It's prison Mike. He's back from prison.
The Dementors.
So I think they were trying to do something there that just didn't work. Like, and it became confusing rather than accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the part of the movie where Loomis goes back to like Michael Myers shows up to get Jamie with everybody distracted, and Loomis shows up and harasses Jamie and shakes her during this part.
He's evil. He's coming to get you.
He's coming to get you. And I think this is also the point where one of the nurses like, you got to stop filling her head with this boogeyman nonsense, because you're gonna mess up. You're gonna scramble her little brain even more than she's all scrambled, right?
Yeah,
like
she almost killed someone.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And of course, then a masked a man in cowboy boots shows up.
Yeah, and like a crazy like
on the city bus. Don't forget.
Yeah, not in the cool car, not on a motorcycle, not on a horse.
Yeah,
on the number 5.
Oh fuck! A horse would have been so good.
I guess. I mean, a bus is wild though. Like even a taxi would make more. Maybe they thought it would be too similar to The Exorcist because he is dressed like the Exorcist. Him showing up to wherever he's going at that point.
I thought this movie, like up to this, I'm still at the point of like, oh man, this shit's gonna pop off. There's a Michael Myers hunter, because on the poster it says this time they're ready for him. They're not.
No,
they fucking don't even believe in him still.
After 5 movies, you would think that
for him.
You'd think Haddonville would make that mask illegal on Halloween.
Yes.
Like no one would. If you wear that mask, you will be arrested or shot on site. No questions asked. Somebody has murdered people every year on Halloween.
Especially because
for the last 5 years.
Last year on Halloween, not only did Michael Myers wreak havoc on the town, there were a group of Michael Myers impersonators. There were like 3 or 4 of them going around being like, whoa, and one of them gets shot.
A bunch of them die. A few people die because he's going on a killing spree. And then the cops accidentally shoot one of them, right? Because they thought it was him. This town, not very well organized, I'll tell you right now.
Figured out Haddonfield.
Yeah.
John Carpenter created this town in his head to just be like this. Michael Myers is going to come in here once, maybe twice, probably once. He comes back like 9 or 12 times, and nobody goes. It's kind of like the problem that I have with the Freddy Krueger movies, where nobody believes it till they see it firsthand. Even though there's one point in Freddy Krueger 5 where she pulls out like a stack of dossiers like this thick. Like,
yeah,
it happened. It's all happened. Everything.
But also, like, they're in the same town, so they know it's happened. Like all of the law authorities will know. Like, oh yeah, there's a dream killer, but there's no way he can kill people in real life this time. What are you, nuts? He can only kill in your dreams. There's no way he killed people when you were awake.
Ridiculous.
It's the same like logic in this, where it's like, come on, guys, lock these people into like an underground bunker and have everybody with guns just waiting there. We know who he's after.
The sheriff is the only one who's like, you don't joke about that. I know that it's real. Anyway, Loomis goes to the original Halloween house with his. That's when he pulls out his fucking trusty gun, and he's Donald Pleasence, clearly drunk, like on screen.
Somehow the house has aged 100 years.
Yeah,
it's
with like
full
these cobwebs. They don't even look anything like real cobwebs. They look like Halloween decorations, just like that. Like maybe cotton stuff.
Maybe they were. Maybe someone dressed up the old Stroud household to look like a Halloween haunted house. You know, they aged the wallpaper by 50 years. They dirty the rugs, and they put fake Halloween spider webs everywhere.
Yeah. I think that's what actually happened, because the budget for these movies, the budget for Nightmare on Elm Street 5 felt low but super high at the same time, because some of the set pieces were so ridiculous and cool. But this one was just like, let's just take the same 4 houses and let's shoot this piece of shit. Spend the money or don't. I don't care. Yeah. It's gonna return money no matter what. Like I said before, if I had seen this in 1989 with my current brain, I would have been furious. What do you mean I gotta wait a year to find out what happens?
I mean, that's what happens with like every Saw movie and stuff nowadays. It's like,
I guess that's true, but they, at least in
Fast
modern
and the Furious movies.
That's a really good example, actually, because the fucking last movie was like the final part is 2 parts, and the movie ends with a cliffhanger. Actually, Across the Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse has a
The
brutal
Matrix
fucking
Reloaded.
ending. And Across the Spider-Verse's brutal ending.
Wait, I don't want to talk about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
but I'm very excited to watch it because
never mind. The movie rules, but I won't say the reasons for the reasons.
And I'm playing Spider-Man 2 right now.
Don't say anything about that.
I won't, but it's very. I will say I'm very much enjoying it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine if you guys talk about any of it because I don't give a shit.
Rebirth is the shit, though. And even though I know the story, don't tell me what happens. They're going to switch it up a little bit. Loomis is here with his trusty gun. The man in the cowboy boots shows up, I guess. I think that's what I wrote down. Michael isn't there. Cowboy boot guy is, but they still haven't showed his face at this point, right? They never really get to talk to him, or do?
No, we don't talk to this man at all. He's a ghost, basically.
Just kind of around.
Yeah.
And there was also the attempted jump scare when they're in the house where the possum falls out of the thing. I think that's the only jump scare in the whole movie. And what I noticed is jump scares for these shitty movies will get me, but for some reason it just didn't affect me. I blew air out of my nose like when there's a joke that's like mediocre, but you find it kind of fun. I went. Didn't scare me.
What?
Wow. Michael
My
Myers
next note
sets
is
his sights on Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Mike sucks is what I write, and then my next note is Mike is dead. From learning who he is to his death, there is maybe 45 seconds.
I knew that his car was going to get fucked with as soon as they have that extremely long sequence of him cleaning the car where he wipes across the front of it gingerly and goes down the side of it. I'm like, I know a lot about Michael Myers, and Michael Myers, he's kind of like a Freddy. He's kind of like a little bit of
a freak. He's kind of like a freak.
A little bit of a freak.
He's kind of a piss freak.
Yeah.
He's a piss freak. He loves piss, and he likes to get pissed on.
He's a piss freak. He's a freak in the sheets too. You ever see the one where he dressed like a ghost
in
a bed sheet? Yeah.
And don't even get me started on how he is in the streets.
Crazy.
And it's so good because he fucking kills him with one of those. It's not quite a hoe. It's like one of those 3-pronged like gardening devices that I think you just till. It's a tiller, small handheld tiller.
Sorry, that joke actually made me choke. I choked on the joke.
He's joking and choking.
Yeah, it's like a mini hoe. It's a dirt claw.
Oh, he's not. He doesn't even kill him yet. This is.
I thought my stream froze for a second because I said dirt claw, and then everyone went completely silent for like 2 seconds. I was like, what? Nobody likes dirt claw.
I just wanted to bring up here before he fucking gardening devices into the face that in this universe it seems like if you're brunette, your girlfriend's brunette, and if you're blonde, your boyfriend's blonde.
And frankly, I find that racist.
That's super racist. They're all white. Let's be real. They're all very white. I don't think there's a person of color in this whole production.
Yeah, it was the 80s. They were really trying hard to.
But a person of color wrote the movie, if you can believe that.
Which is insane. The studio was like, that's enough.
A black man, I believe, wrote all of these post Season of the Witch movies.
But yet didn't write a single person of color into the script.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just like, fuck it. I'll just fill it with white people and watch them die. Watch my creations die.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean,
it's weird when Friday the 13th Part 5, the worst movie I've ever seen, has like more diversity, even though it's all stereotypes.
It's not good diversity. And also they're like characters that don't really interact with the other characters, especially in that movie. It's like, we're going to have these two semi-interesting characters that we're not going to elaborate on whatsoever, and they're going to meet one of the other white characters before they die in an outhouse attack.
Yeah.
And also one of them is going to give the best performance in the movie.
Who plays that character actor from a million different things.
Yeah.
There's DJ in Street Fighter.
That's
all I'm pulling.
All of these movies are pretty bad for representation, even up until modern day. I think Chucky is the only one that's still kind of going. Like, it's the only one that's still doing anything, really. Other than Halloween, the one we're talking about. But I don't know. I can't remember.
Actually, I was wrong. I misspoke. I think the man I'm thinking of, the black man that wrote the movie, he wrote 4, and he looks like he didn't write this one. So,
okay.
So now no diversity whatsoever across the board.
That's California.
This was written by the rapper Redman.
Oh, okay.
Nope, that's a character from Seed of Chucky.
He's played by Redman, but he also plays a character named Redman in the Seed of Chucky.
It's true. Seed of Chucky. Let's just that was the best one this month, right?
Yeah.
Large margin. Now Michael Myers sets his sights on Michael. Like, what are you doing? Whoever wrote this is an idiot. He scratches the car with the device, with the tiller.
I just call it a dirt claw. That's what it is.
Dirt claw. I thought that was great because he gets out of, he's in a garage and he gets into the car like, hey man, you better stop that. I'm going to square up with you. I'm going to fight you. And then he just gets choked out and then right to the face. Boom.
I'm wondering, like, if I was to be swinging something at somebody, like a pipe. I think he has like a pipe of some kind.
Or a tire.
If I'm about to swing it and someone grabs me by the throat, is it going to completely negate my attack?
If if he crushes your trachea like immediately.
But I feel like as soon as he crushes it, I would still be like, I would probably hit him like a bunch of times to be like, let me go. You know? I don't know though. I've never had my throat crushed by a giant man. And
you haven't never had any fun then.
Michael, another Michael on this goddamn movie. Michael Mongiardi goes down to the sex clubs and just like crush my trachea, daddy.
Yeah,
and
that's what I
said. Then another guy named Michael says, well, a guy named Jason says,
oh my god, we got Michael and Jason here today.
What do the Chuck say?
And then it's me.
Oh man,
my middle name is Charles Lee Ray.
If only your
Charles Lee Ray Waters. Yeah.
If only your name was Freddie.
Yeah.
We would have the trio here, the holy trio.
Shit, for Halloween, you got to get just him going, bitch.
No.
That's his trademark. There's no Nightmare on Elm Street thing like the other 3 that we do.
It is weirdly his catchphrase is just saying bitch.
It's becoming that way too, where each movie he seems to say it like one more time.
Yeah, we've talked about this before on the pod. If you guys want to know our deep dives onto the amount of times that he says bitch in every episode, just watch our Freddy episodes. We talk about this every time. Bitch.
In fact, next week when I get back from Mexico, I'm gonna make some playlists for these grimoires because I'm gonna do that for you. And even though we don't have the first Freddy. The first Friday. God, it's so confusing. It's like I'm becoming an old Alzheimer's grandma where I'm like Freddie, Jason.
Jason, you're the old-time grandma.
That's what they call me.
Okay.
That was a fun bit.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Let's move on. Little relationship forms between the kids. Kind of sweet.
Yeah, a relationship that is kind of weird and awkward and strange and doesn't really go anywhere. But later on, Billy does a crazy Assassin's Creed roll out of the way of that car. I was like, holy shit, this kid is like Sonic the Hedgehog.
And then he's like, what happens to him? He rolls out of the way of the car and then
exit Billy.
He's just like, it seems like he's not dead. He's unconscious or something, but he's
like in shock. Like, I can't believe I just did that sick move. And then everyone forgets about him in the field. She told him to stay there, and it seems like he listened. He just stayed there, and he probably froze to death in the field that night. Nobody knew where he was.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty bad actor, and he's just child actors is tough. But this is my hot take for this movie, is I think that the actor that plays Jamie is probably the best, if not only good actor in this movie.
Listen, Mike, it's funny you say that, and I said this in the last movie. I think that she's legitimately a good actor.
I think so.
She has to do a lot of really goofy, like convulsing and like looking around and stuff, and she does with the material the best that she can do. I thought that she was very good in her role of being a child protagonist. Like I thought that was very well played, and she looks very familiar. She goes on to be she's somebody, right?
Yes, she goes on to act as a profession. She doesn't stop here. She keeps going. Like most of the actors in this movie who stopped, she did not.
Yeah,
she
and most of the actors, you could argue, didn't even ever start for this movie at all.
And I mean, like Donald Pleasence is like a big, he's in James Bond movies and shit. Like he is an actor, right? But he's aware.
He's Blofeld. Yeah, like he's an actor. He's been around before these movies. I think he was kind of the name when the series started or whatever.
It's the classic example of like get a golden age actor to come cameo in this movie as a small role, but we'll hinge it on the fact that we've got him here.
Yeah, and his role is iconic and he's great and whatever, but his performance is truly unhinged and just deranged.
But also those types of roles usually end after the first one, right? Like we have this character actor who is well known across cinema. We're going to bring him in for this one movie. But then this series was like, no, we gotta make Loomis the main guy. He's in every movie. The whole movie is Michael Myers versus Loomis forever. And it's like, even the remakes, you're like, gee whiz, they got Malcolm McDowell to come in, and it's the same thing, right? Like that's one of the things about the newer they're not remakes, they're continuations of the early movies, is they don't have that character actor. And I think the movie kind of suffers because of it. I mean, the character of Loomis is gone because he's aged out and dead at that point. But they could have got someone else to be like, I'm Loomis too.
Well, they kind of did.
Hyper Loomis.
Here's something interesting about Danielle Harris, who plays Jamie, is she comes back in the newer Halloween movies. Like I think the first reboots.
H2O?
No. Like the Halloween 2 from 2009. Is that part of
the Rob Zombie one?
Those are Rob Zombie. He plays a character called Annie Brackett, and she's in those.
Oh, a different character, but same actor. They brought her back.
That was probably just them like nodding to the series, right? Like that's not.
But she's also still.
Yeah, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
She was in Urban Legend, which I saw.
You saw that?
She was in Free Willy. That's a movie we've all seen.
Oh, right, yeah. She is in Free Willy. She plays girl character across.
Is she the girl character in Free Willy? Because that might be legitimately where I like my brain is like, I recognize her from something.
She's a child actor who has worked in movies and television up until current day. Like she is a successful actor. That is her job, like.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not surprised at all, because that's the only. Yeah, like I said, I thought she was great. I thought she and child actors are usually so cringe.
Yeah.
And she was fine.
I'm sure that I remember her from like Are You Afraid of the Dark and like Goosebumps and shit. Like that's the vibe that I'm like, I know that she's in one of those kind of weird shows that I watched when I was a kid. Because like I could look for it, but I'm sure she's got to be in one of those, right? Like in the 90s.
Yeah,
Come on. She was in Boy Meets World. That's probably where
I was looking up Tamara Glynn, who plays Sam. She was in significantly less things. But her profile picture is a picture of a person.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to make like a boing noise for every time Jason says something gross.
What are you talking about? How about this?
So,
oh shit! Michael the killer gets Tina with the car. It's him because he's breathing heavy. This is fuck. Oh yeah, this is the almost hand job.
Yeah,
we talked about this already, and I think we all agree that if Michael Myers is what we think he is, you'd open the door to that car and be like, what the fuck is that smell? Not like, hey, baby, let me smooch. You'd be like, did you step in every pile of dog shit in the entire town before getting in your car?
Did you shit in it and then die from it? In this
hopscotching onto dog shit.
Yeah.
Dog shit to dog shit.
Yeah.
Also, weirdly smells like piss in here. Like so much piss.
Yeah. I mean, he is a piss freak. We do know that about him.
Classic Michael Myers. Piss freak behavior.
But yeah, even still, even if he smelled fine, like her whole behavior, she's with her boyfriend in the car, who is not talking or acting like he's present whatsoever. And then she's like tries to kiss him, but like kissing over the mask, like some kind of a maniac. The whole thing felt like just so weird.
And she's talking at him like, "Oh, you're giving me the silent treatment again. I wonder what for." While he's just menacingly gripping the steering wheel, and it's making that like leather on leather sound, you know, like.
Yeah.
How does she not go like, wait a second? Also, if you're dating somebody and it was a different person, mask or no mask, you know it's a different person.
Yeah, your boyfriend, like her boyfriend, the other Mike, was a little guy.
Yes.
Michael Myers was a big beefcake.
So taking up the whole car. Yeah.
And also he's driving this car, which again feels insane. And then she says, "Oh, I need to get cigarettes." And then he turns the car around and takes her to the store
to get cigarettes. Yeah.
Why? Why did he obviously wanted to kill her?
Do you remember my brain went immediately? I was like, "Oh, he's trying to keep up the facade." But then
maybe
I'm like,
he doesn't know. Maybe he
why
doesn't
does he
know
need
where
to keep
to
up
go
any facade? He's just trying to murder people.
I don't know. Maybe he wants to go to the party and he doesn't know where to go. So he's like, I need her to take me to the party so I can kill other people.
Nothing. You just need to continue to be completely silent until we somehow end up at that party.
Yeah.
And then I can put the cigarette lighter through her eye or something.
I know this woman's not going to stop talking until I just get her cigarettes. Yeah. But yeah, he does do that. The police show up because Jamie is meanwhile having a vision on vision or whatever that shit's called. Pretty much that is what happens there. The cops roll in. They believe this kid. They should just believe this kid at anything she says, but they're very selective about what they believe when Jamie has her little visions, because this one they're like, and then I wrote this at the end, but I'll say it now. There's these funny scenes. It's very funny to me that there's just these shots of the police going to the next place and then being useless there, and then going to the next place and being useless there. There's a lot of shots of police just cruising around the city in this movie, which I thought was a really interesting choice.
Yeah, and it also seems like they are taking it seriously at first, but then they start to be like, all right, you just send 1 or 2 squad cars here. Now
send the dummies.
Yeah. Send the guys who have the trombones and slide whistles following them around. Because
they take Tina back to the station, and then Tina's like, I'm still going to this party. It's Halloween. I gotta get back.
Yeah, they take her, they save her, I guess. And, you know, all of these cop cars, everyone aiming their guns into the darkness, don't notice Michael Myers drive away in like a fancy sports car with a really loud engine.
He pulls out really slowly.
Yeah. And they take her back to the hospital where this little girl is freaking the fuck out and being like, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I need you to stay here. This is where I wrote down that Tina is a horny idiot, because I'm like, I feel like no matter what the circumstance is, if this girl is like predicting my death, so much so that they got the cops to bring me here, there's no way I'm leaving. I'm staying there. I'm going to stay with this kid because she's like, I keep foreseeing your death. Yeah, no, I'm staying. I'm staying at the hospital. Crazy. Even though Loomis is creepy and weird, I'm going to stay there.
She even says to him, she's like, you're creepy, bro. You got to stop touching everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tina bounces and they're like, go with her, take her to the goon cops. And they all go to this party together. The goober cop waiting outside. She goes and she gets fucking plastered. All the kids are like, let's go skinny dipping. We don't get to see that, but the one guy does perv on her a little, and she's like, you just want to see me naked. And I was like, oh, here we go. But that doesn't happen. The police officers do have comically large chin prosthetics on. When I noticed that here. Right. And this is the next little thing that I thought was funny was we get a real like moment that's like the kids running out of the house, and then Michael Myers is stalking them out of the house, And then he goes, nah, it's just me, the blonde guy from before, remember? And
Just
the cops
kidding.
are like, are you fucking serious, dude? Like, this person you're dressed like has terrorized this town for the last 5 years.
Yeah, for half a decade.
There was one of those years where he didn't terrorize the town. There was something with a television program and there was a movie. But
no, in the world of this world, that was a movie.
Yeah.
So like they're both movies in each other's universes.
That's actually a pretty good theory.
A theory?
Yeah. And I wrote Michael Mike is gonna show up for sure and kill all these bitches, was what I wrote there. And of course they run into a barn, the ultimate place for
everything you say that is mildly misogynistic is going to get that.
No, I meant
you in a bush going.
Meant bitches as in they're all bitches, men and women.
Oh, okay. Then it gets this.
Yeah.
Chucky doesn't see any kind of like sexuality, gender, or sex. He just.
Oh, my kid is actually non-binary or whatever you kids call it these days, and I'm cool with it. But every kid has to make a decision for himself. That's like a little discussion from the Chucky TV show that he has with his new friend, I think. But yes, they do run into a barn. And so many burns.
Classic Halloween move, right? No, this is like, oh, now they're doing Friday the 13th. This is when I got annoyed. I was already annoyed.
Is this movie like a ripoff of Friday the 13th? And Friday the 13th's last movie was a ripoff of like the vibe you get from watching
Friday the 13th
Freddy movie. It's so incestuous at this point.
Friday the 13th was made because of the success of Halloween.
No, I don't mean originally.
I know that. I'm just telling you that they are now all cannibalizing each other. They look at what was successful from one another and they're trying to eat each other, and it's detrimental to all of them, which is why I think that Chucky succeeds above the others, because it's not necessarily trying to do that. It's trying to have its own identity without being like, what are they doing Halloween, or what are they doing Freddy?
Of these 4 movies we did this month, the 5th one is in 1999, and the other 3 are in 1989 and 1988.
Well, Chucky takes has some breathing room to recoup and think, whereas these movies all just come out one after the other for years and years and years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like Chucky in general, from beginning to end, was like one man's vision, basically.
Yeah, Don Mancini.
And I think he's kind of been in charge of writing and everything. So I think that will always benefit it, because he's not really just like looking like what's successful. Let's do more of that. Not like studio.
Well, we talked about this in our Seed of Chucky episode, where he's trying to tell stories as a creative, but he's telling stories by using Chucky and the universe he's created for Chucky to tell those stories, rather than try to force Chucky into all these different scenarios. It's like, what's a story I can tell? I'll use Chucky to tell that story. And whereas these are like, what's the body count and how many times can we show tits? That's not really the MO for Don Mancini, because he doesn't give a shit about tits. If anything, he's like, can I get some wieners in there?
But I gotta say, and this is not about this at all, but how ballsy was it to send Jason to space in Jason X?
I am kind of excited for when we finally get to that piece of shit movie, but
in 10 years. Yeah.
And it's, all of them should go to space eventually. That's the philosophy, right? Leprechaun only took them 4 movies they got there.
Imagine if the new Halloween lineage goes off the rails, like the new ones, like the modern Halloween. They send Michael Myers to space, but like with the special, like it looks like a Marvel movie.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Thanos shows up. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
But
Thanos is his ultimate match, because Michael Myers is so evil he can't die, that Thanos is like, I don't understand. Why won't you die? And he's like, trying to snap out reality. Can't keep evil down, but it doesn't work that way.
This sequence goes on for a little bit too long. Like this part was like, we got this barn. We have to do everything we can do with a barn. And they're like, they just did a thing with a barn in like literally this year in Friday the 13th, and it's like, nah, we're gonna do it.
That was being stolen from Friday the 13th Part 3. So it's like, what? They're stealing twice. Also, hay is bad for your skin, guys. don't get naked in a pile of hay. It's bad for your skin.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, they're
really
about to be killed anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very horny, so
they do a lot of flirting and running around, and then eventually a lot of tricking each other. Fucking Spitz or Spanks or whatever his name is. Spitz, I think. The blonde
what
dude.
A terrible nickname. But they also have a
Spitz.
kitten.
Oh, the reason they go in there in the first place is because Sam finds a cat. She's like, look, a cat. And they go in there and then they find the kitties, and then Michael is still just skulking. You can still see him in the
ultimate aphrodisiac.
Apparently.
And just so many. There's one of those fake. They did the fake out move too many times in this movie. Yes. At least 3-4 times, 4 maybe. Whereas like you think it's Michael, and then it's like they take the mask off, and it's like ha ha ha, fun
just
joke.
Kidding.
Yeah. They did that same bit like in the same movie. They did that like at least 3 times. I think probably 4 times.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about the Michael Myers movies that is more powerful is the sheet gag where you see Michael Myers kill somebody and take their costume like he's Agent 47 in the Hitman video games. And we're aware as the audience that it's Michael Myers and the other person doesn't know. And you build the suspense of like this man is going to kill this person and they're unaware of it. And they're not doing that here. They're trying to rely on this jump scare aspect of it. And
well, they did it once with in the car, but yeah.
Yeah, yes, but they didn't pay it off, right? It doesn't.
No, not at all. There. She didn't even jack him off.
No, she didn't jack him off, and he took her to get cigarettes. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, how is Michael Myers all cucked to this girl?
Well, he's just an NPC. He doesn't even have any dialogue.
He got a little kiss.
Yes, me.
He's horny, so. But we do get the fake outs and stuff, and then we get like a sex scene that like kind of goes on for a little bit too long. Like that's supposed to be like the titillating part, and as he's like on top of her, Michael Myers just pitchforks him through the back, and she freaks out and gets covered in blood, which was great. I'm kind of disappointed that he gets a full-on scythe, and then we just get the like scythe like slash sound, and then only a little bit of blood. Like if you slash somebody with a scythe, the blood's gonna go crazy.
That was one of my notes in this as well. Was that scythe kills should be more abundant in all of these franchises. Like these characters are death in their own right, and I don't recall seeing a scythe in any of the other ones.
I kind of recognize that in this one, especially that they kind of boiled Michael Myers down to like a Frankenstein a little bit, especially in the scene we're coming up to where him and Jamie have like that little moment, and he kind of just lumbers around and just like kills indiscriminately. I know Frankenstein's monster doesn't really do that, but they do hint at an element of Michael Myers having a little bit of like a sensitive bit, but he's got that rage, kind of like when Frankenstein's monster sees fire. Like it's kind of like when he clues back into the reality of the situation, he starts just like strangling anything in front of him.
The only difference being that like Frankenstein is a well-rounded character that you understand why he fears fire, whereas Michael Myers is just full of rage for
Frankenstein is a brilliant allegory written 300 years ago.
Honestly, though, I would argue that the reason we don't know, the fact that we don't know the reason why he's so evil is kind of the cool part about these movies. And part of the issue is as it goes on, they try to explain it more and more. And I think for me, that takes away from it, from what John Carpenter was going for in the first one.
Maybe that's why he stopped to get the smokes. He just needs a fucking cigarette, dude.
Yeah, man. He just needs a break.
He actually wanted to smoke, It'd be funny if
he'll get a cigarette.
It actually cuts to them like she goes in and you think it's going to be this like ding 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 ding, and then it cuts back and he's just got a cigarette hanging out of the mask, like lit. And he's smoking it, driving them to the party. I agree. I think that the more you explain Michael Myers, the weaker it becomes. But I did sort of like a couple of those types of explanations later down the line out of this movie. I didn't like the Rob Zombie movies, but there were some interesting things going on there. And then in the newer ones where it's like less so them the whole town being like he's evil and evil's returning again, but like, you know, the idea that he is unknowable, like you can't understand him. There's no reasoning with him. He's like the Terminator or an alien or something, right?
Terminator's
like,
a good.
Yeah.
He exists outside of human understanding. There's no way for you to ever connect with him.
And even
like
no point. John Carpenter is like very much on the record of like he hates the fact that he made it like Laurie was his sister or whatever in the second movie. And which they retcon. Well, I guess the new trilogy is only considers the first movie. I think it ignores the second movie. So it's they're back to not being siblings.
I don't even really mind that they're siblings. That doesn't really, because it doesn't change anything other than the fact that they're related.
I guess it gives him motivation. Like he's for some reason hunting his sister.
Yeah.
Where the other one is like he's just killing and we don't know why, and that's terrifying. I guess that's
but it would also give us a reason to understand in the newer movies why she stays there and gives a shit, because she's like, this is my brother and like I feel connected, like I need to defend the ones that he's coming for because he's doing this because of me. But
right back.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't necessarily hate that kind of stuff, but it doesn't really do much for me either. I'm completely fine with him being the shape, as we call him.
Yeah,
but you know, him being the shape who is also your brother is kind of a little bit more interesting. There's some good moments in the newer ones where she's trained her daughter, who is, I guess, supposed to be the same character in this movie, to defend herself against Michael Myers and to like trick him into ways of chasing. You know, like she'll use the final girl aspect to get Michael to chase her into a trap, so that they've trapped him using the fear that he's feeding off of to chase. Which is kind of cool and interesting, but you know,
that's what Laurie taught to her daughter.
Yeah, there's a great moment in one of the new movies where Laurie's daughter is like doing the classic running away from Michael and screaming, and she goes all the way down into a basement like you would do in a classic horror movie, and Michael Myers comes to the top of the stairs and she's screaming like, no, please, please, no, and then he stops at the top of the stairs and she's like, gotcha, motherfucker, and like shoots him in the neck, and like a bunch of traps go off, and you're like, oh fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they don't really like, you know, they imply that's what's meant to happen earlier in the movie, but even you as an audience member are like, you're not sure that that's what's happening, or if she's actually scared, right? The new ones are all right. They're not terrible, I'll tell you.
I didn't mind. They kind of blend together in my mind, but I think I enjoyed them. I definitely didn't feel like I felt watching this movie.
Being like, what am I doing? Yeah, you're like really focused on Loomis's burn makeup. You're like, is it good? I don't know. It looks kind of like drawn on.
It's not awful. Michael's hand is like burnt too, from the same reason why Loomis is burnt, and I thought that was pretty good makeup as well. It's interesting.
They're Burn Brothers.
The Burn Bros, Super Burn Bros. It's interesting that they left that in. I like how these slashers from this era get that battle damage. Freddy doesn't really need it, but he keeps being like regenerated in the dream world. And Jason,
he has emotional damage though. He keeps getting defeated over and over again. He's like, God damn it.
I just tried so hard this time, but you pesky kid, one remaining child.
Jason definitely gets some mask battle damage.
Yeah,
for sure. And Chucky gets some real damage.
He gets the worst.
Sewn together and stuff. Yeah.
The third one where he gets hacked into a million pieces and they just sew him back together with like big thick pieces of wire. He's just like, all right, I'm back and better than ever.
Bring me to your best child so I can put my brain in it.
How they do it,
Yeah, I wrote this whole scene out as like one little paragraph, and it's done after he kills them. And then this is when the kids are like chasing to like, there's that funny scene where it's like there's like a little bit of a scuffle, and Jamie escapes and Billy also escapes, and there's like Loomis is like, you let Jamie disappear, like what the fuck? She's the whole reason we're like defeating the Michael Myers this year. and now she's just running down a country road. Like, forget the fact that there's a maniac, an undead zombie maniac. There's still like the real issues of like a child running around at nighttime on Halloween. But they do, she's pretty studious. They catch up to the situation that's ongoing. And I think, is this where we get the car bit? Yeah, Michael Myers gets in the car from other Michael. So confusing. Why did you write it like that? Just call him like Jim. Like
Jim would have been wonderful.
Was it meant to be like what Steve was saying before, like when Tina's banging on the window?
Why else would they?
I think maybe, but it's like they called Jamie after Jamie Lee Curtis. That was like a cute homage to the actor, right? Why would they make this pointless character that is just there to like to love his car and then get killed?
Michael's probably been played by 5 different people at this point.
Yeah. Why would they pick this guy to play homage? I mean, obviously it must have been, but
I don't think it's supposed to be homage, though. I think it's supposed to be like there's supposed to be a moment in the movie where she's calling out the name Michael and he's meant to respond to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was the same thing that happened with the cops is whoever wrote this movie has no idea what comedy is, and these are his attempts at writing like
or what movies are,
or what movies are, or what entertainment is supposed to be.
I agree. I agree with that. I don't.
Their parents were just entertainers. They were clowns in the circus, and they were like, "You have to be an entertainer too." But the times didn't catch up with them, and they ended up in film school.
Yeah,
somehow
in
the final class of film school, where they're like, "And that's film school."
When
you all graduate,
when all they really wanted to do was their true passion: stare at rocks.
Stand knee deep in water.
I think that's a really, really good
in 3D,
in 3 dimensions.
They never did a Halloween 3D, did they?
No, I feel like Halloween at that point was above it. They're like, no 3D, we're above this.
They were like, how about a different thing where it's an anthology and all the children have masks on? And
I think Jason's the only one that did the 3D.
Bees out of their eyes. Or whatever. I think you're right. Like, because that it lends itself to that. Like what we were talking about, how the Jason, the Friday the 13th movies are a little bit literally campy. It's right. It's baked in Camp Crystal Lake, to the point that I used AI to come up with a description for one of our YouTube videos, and it was like the return to Crystal Lake, and I had to say it to the AI, they're not in Crystal Lake in this one. It's like, oh, sorry, and it changed its whole vibe.
They're somewhere else. So
the kids catch up. Mike has the car. The kid jumps out of the way. The car crashes into the tree.
But we gotta give props to Billy and his Assassin's Creed role. That was really crazy. Like he was so shocked that he went into shock and then lay there and was like, "Oh fuck!" And she's like, "Stay here, Billy." And again,
how
he never left that spot to this day. In the newer ones, they go back to the spot and they find a skeleton of a small child wearing a cowboy costume or pirate costume. I can't remember.
Some people say that if you go there and the wind blows just right, you could still hear him rolling through it.
Rolling real good. And it's a really good roll, too. Swift. No impact.
But speaking of impact, man, cars don't explode when they hit a tree, or else Kelsey Grammer would not be with us today. Little Kelsey Grammer drunk. Speaking of the
a Paul Walker
legs all over my face.
Oh,
I'm bleeding. Help me.
Was that did you just say Paul Walker?
Paul Walker.
That's pretty fucked up. What's Ben Margera's friend's name? Rusty Shackelford?
Bolt.
Johnny.
No, yeah, I know who you mean. Ryan Dunn.
Ryan Dunn. Yeah, he'd be still with us.
Yeah.
They didn't. But for all intents and purposes, it's just like a Camaro or some shit, and he drives into the tree at like 50 kilometers an hour. And it like that was the climax of the movie.
There was no explosion yet until this point, other than the dynamite in the beginning from the other movie that we watched.
This is a movie, technically by my standards. It has a car chase. She chases people with a car, and then the car explodes.
Oh yeah.
What?
The reverb on that fart sound is so strange. Where is this recorded? In an airplane hangar?
No,
What is
it's
that?
inside an empty grain silo.
By a 100-foot tall man. Right. And the next note that I have is just Tina sacrifices herself. So I think it's Michael gets out of the car and starts just stabbing indiscriminately. And
do you
Tina
guys think
gets in
that
the
Tina
way.
looks like a young Catherine Hahn, kind of?
A little bit. I can
That's
see
what
that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see
This
that.
is young Catherine Hahn, except not as funny because Catherine
No,
Hahn is funny.
not nearly as charismatic or interesting or good at acting as Catherine Hahn, but definitely the look is there.
Yeah.
Also, I love Space Cadet Tim. Big shout out to Timmy Boy. Can I call you Timmy Boy?
You can call him Timmy Boy. I'm authorizing it.
Oh, thank
Friend
you.
of the show, one of the 5-time club guest of the show, one of our favorite guests. He gets the highest numbers. Like he fucking will bang out 100 views on like all of our platforms every time he's on.
I wonder what he's making for dinner.
Yeah, tell us about that. I gotta hit it this one. Yep.
Yeah, this is very funny. 2 hours
he's
in,
making
and
he's
the
making
verdict so far
tacos.
is tacos.
He didn't say that, but I am going to Mexico.
Where?
Mexico.
Holy shit. All right, we need to retire that sound effect after this episode. This is the only one.
Well, I won't be going to Mexico next week.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah. Oh no, 13 or 9 or 19. That's a 6 Mexico differential. All right. So
we're getting to the end here. We're gonna be wrapping.
We're sprinting to the end, and we're sprinting back to the old Stroud house where everything looks like a haunted house.
So I always look out for who the final girl is going to be, because at this point in slashers, the final girl is very much a trope that will not die. Like, has there ever been a final boy? But final girl wise, I'm like, oh, Jamie is going to end up being final girl. I thought Tina was going to be final girl through all of this. I was like, oh, they pushed they moved it over to Tina. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's fine. She was a good character for what she was put there for. I liked her personality. She was charismatic, like she was good in that role. And then she sacrifices herself to save Jamie from getting click-clacked by old Michael Myers. So rest in peace, Tina. You will be missed.
That's what happens when you die by him, I think.
Ding, 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 ding. That's funny. See, now, we know comedy here on this show.
Yeah, we get it.
We get it.
Oh, Chucky.
Chunky's here. We're deleting all of these sound effects when it's not the Grimoire, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put in new effects for next week when it's... Oh, I'm not going to reveal that quite yet. It's my birthday month. Yeah, thank you for that. The thing that happens next is I think it's funny the police are zooming all over town. I think we're even before that. Eddie the cop gets murdered. Nope, we're even before that. Mike chasing around after that. Loomis tries to convince...
Get to the freaking house.
Loomis tries to convince Michael Myers to stop killing.
Oh yeah, from the edge of the woods. He's like, Michael, it's me, your old pal Loomis, the mad doctor.
Who may have been doing the murders, but is definitely not in this one.
And then Michael responds by saying, and he goes, that's right, Michael. I'm going back to your old house. I'll meet you there. And this time I'll bring the girl that you want. We know that if you kill her, you'll no longer commit horrible rage crime. And then Michael says, and he says, all right, I'll meet you there. Bye. And he gets in his car and drives away.
And then meets him there, and basically they have the same conversation. Yeah. Like he stops them, and Michael's up on that little stairway thing, and he's like,
all the movies, it's a landing between floors, which is every movie. You're like, someone go through the window, someone go through the window, someone go over the railing. which direction, because there's two directions. You can throw someone through the window or throw someone through the railing. And in this one, he almost does both, but he has to decide.
Where do I kill this guy?
Yeah.
He kind of like pushed his head up to the window and it broke, and then he was like, ah.
I thought he impaled his head on something.
He smashes his head through the window after slashing him across the chest with his knife, his signature knife, just a kitchen knife. It's one of the things about Michael Myers. He's a simple man. Just a kitchen knife is all he needs.
There were a lot of really funny like shots in this of him just like holding his knife kind of like this, which is just the most iconic. You don't like what I learned about Jason is he uses a wide variety of weapons. You picture him with a butcher knife, but he likes to like he pulls out a
picture him with a machete. Jason
or a machete. Sorry, he does very creative kills. Michael Myers he likes stabby things, he likes pointy things, but usually he just has that. He usually just has that knife. And
I think all of them have their signature weapon that you imagine in your head when you think of them. But I think at the end of the day, the one who has the most iconic weapon is Freddy Krueger with his glove full of knife fingers.
Which he does. He usually finishes people off with that. But
or he just does
a lot of crazy.
He just uses it to freak him out by like clicking it on things and scraping it across the wall. He's not. He usually he's like, I need to find a way to really freak.
What's on TV, bitch, or whatever. He smashes her head through a TV. Prime time, bitch.
Chucky does a lot of weird shit. Remember that time he swapped all the paintball bullets out with real bullets and just got a bunch of people to shoot each other?
Which was like the most devastating thing for me at the time.
It sounds like the things someone might do in real life as like a terrorist act or something.
Yeah.
But that
at any rate
wouldn't even remotely work, right? We can all agree on that. You can
the guns looked hyper realistic.
They fire.
The guns looked hyper realistic.
It was like a weird military school. They were using actual guns with like special bullets that had paintball like blanks or something. I agree, it would not work, but in the context of the movie, it's kind of frightening. I was like, this is too weird. This seems like something like a creepy teenager would think of.
That movie sucks. Like the third one is like the worst of all the Chucky movies, but that moment is fucked up.
It is.
I was waiting until you saw that so you'd play it. We basically, they kind of have like there's like this weird final battle sort of thing that happens in this house where Jamie's there, she falls down, she gets into like a chute and falls down the chute, and they
laundry chute.
You think she's dead, she's fine. Michael Myers goes from upstairs to downstairs and starts stabbing the chute to like get her. Then we get a Super Mario Brothers moment where she's trying to like reach back up the chute, which is like 8 feet, but for some reason, even though she's like 3 feet tall, she's able to use the knife stabbed through the metal to bounce off and get up to the top. She has a little bit of Super Mario Brothers action. She gets back up, and then Loomis grabs her, takes her.
Your brain is like, oh, Loomis is here to help. Like,
nope. He's here to use her as bait. In fact,
this is where my notes go. Loomis is fucked up. Loomis is really fucked up. I'll be right back. I just had to use the battery.
I skipped over the part where like there was that whole sequence where like the cop is like waiting with Jamie to be like, if there's any problem, we'll come up with signs. You knock on the thing 3 times and I'll come to save you. That doesn't really pan out because almost immediately Michael comes in and fucking they're trying to escape out the window while Loomis is doing stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening in this final bit. Yeah. But as they're trying to escape out the window, Michael grabs them and just hangs them. And then the stuff with Jamie, like I said, happens while she's trying to escape from that. Loomis grabs her and he's just backing up, taunting Michael into this like foyer to sort of taunt him into there to I don't really at this point in the movie I didn't really know what he wanted to have happen. Kind of turns out that he was sort of baiting Michael and sort of I don't know. I still think throughout this movie that Loomis doesn't care if Jamie dies or lives because of that weird psychic link that they have. You know what that is? I'll tell you what that is.
I could. I could.
You got to it before I could.
I could get behind that theory.
I don't know what it was. I just kind of sat down and you're like, I'll tell you what that is. I'm like, I'm assuming it's a theory.
It is. It was. And it's a good one, I think, because the theory was that Loomis doesn't really care whether she lives or dies. And
all he cares about is getting rid of evil.
Yeah. He loves getting rid of evil. He's horny for it.
Yeah. So horny that he burned his whole half his face and his arms to try and get rid of it, but he hasn't.
I'll kill myself to kill us all.
I didn't go through 10 years of psychiatric medical school to not get rid of evil. And you're like, wait, what? Hold on.
So yeah, they kind of have a moment where it was sorry. Does the thing with the attic happen before all this too?
Yeah.
Is that how she goes down the stairs?
Puts her in the attic, and then they have their moment where he reveals his face to her. And you're like, wait a minute, is he handsome? Because he looks kind of handsome. Yeah. He's got nice hair, and like his jaw structure is quite masculine. And you're like, wait a minute, is he hot? But shouldn't he also be super burnt? He got burned alive in a hospital fire.
And his eye got stabbed out with a coat.
Yeah, he should be missing an eye. And she tries to, wipe away his tear. And he responds by trying to viciously stab her to death.
Stabbing.
Yeah. And that's where you're like, oh, he is evil. Loomis is right. And then she runs down the stairs. And again, you're like, oh, Loomis is here to help. And he grabs her and puts her in a fucking chokehold. And is like, here she is. This is the little girl that you want, isn't it?
Right.
Michael.
And then they use a jungle poacher style net to capture Michael in a net, which works. And then
for some reason, first of all, we're supposed to think this is heroic, that he's literally using a child as bait. Come here, don't you want to kill this little girl? Come here, she's over here.
Himself as bait, like Michael Myers clearly wants to kill him as well because he tried to earlier. But yeah, no, he knows that Michael Myers shares a bond with her at the very least, but he does not know in any way that Michael Myers actually wants to find her. He's the one feeding both Jamie and Michael these like stories to one another, right? He's telling Jamie like the boogeyman will come get you if you don't tell me what's going on. And then he's also talking to Michael, turning around and being like, you want the little girl, don't you, Michael? I've got her. Remember the little girl? And Michael's like, what the fuck are you
talking about the little girl, man.
The little girl, the one that makes you have rage.
Michael.
No, I'm trying to kill indiscriminately here.
Michael's like scratching his head like,
where's Jamie Lee Curtis? Laurel or whatever.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Loomis is the one who is true evil, and he's the one that's facilitating this entire thing, because without it, Michael Myers would probably just walk in a straight line to the coast, killing everybody along the way, and then swim to, Europe or China, whichever coast he gets to first, and keep doing it over there.
He tries to trank the fuck out of him. Gets 2 shots off. Michael's like,
no.
And just grabs the gun.
Not happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it's almost like they forgot that they've shot him like a billion times with actual bullets, and they don't stop him,
Is that an AI representation of Michael Myers? Oh, is that me in Mexico? Is that an AI picture of me in It kind of looks like me. That's fucking weird. I lost 40 pounds, and that's kind of what my body type is like now. That's weird. Oh man.
Oh no! I put Jason into a depressed puddle.
What is he holding?
He looks like he's
water guns?
Holding guns at you, but they're also drinks.
There's not enough fingers. Or too many?
It was supposed to be 2 tacos, if you want to know what I asked.
They look like drinks. And also, yes, one hand only has 2 fingers and the other one has like 16 fingers. Also, when Jason shows up to the swim up bar, he says, "Give me them taco drinks."
Out of Camp Crystal Resort.
Yeah.
Hey, writers of Friday the 13th, Camp Crystal Resort would be so fucking good. Yeah. Oh man, Jason goes to Hawaii. Let's get it.
Oh yeah, dude. You can just walk there because he kind of just walked. Wait, am I remembering this right? Did he walk to Manhattan?
He did underwater, yeah.
Underwater, yeah. So you can do that again.
He also, like flew through space until he like landed on a planet at one point. There could be a movie where the futuristic Jason movie is that he lands on like a Halo style planet and just has to kill aliens, and all the aliens are like, "We can't kill him. He's unkillable," and he's just like,
and he's the protagonist.
Somehow, yeah, it's like Planet Hulk.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. I really hope somebody gets that IP soon because I want to see a stupid modern Friday.
He lands on like the planet from Event Horizon where it's like the demon dimension.
Like hell world.
Like the Hellraiser people, yeah.
That's great. Let's wrap this movie up and then play some games. We basically just have the situation where he gets tranked, but nope, he doesn't. And then Donald Pleasence Loomis just grabs a plank off the wall and just beats him, beats the fuck out of him. And then the cops show up and they take him to a holding cell. Credits. Nope.
There's chains involved at the end of this, and I can't really remember what the chains are all about.
Well, and she also, when he took off his mask, and she said something like, "You're just like me," which I don't understand at all.
That was a reference to her eye being cut up, and he does have the fucked up eye. They just didn't really take any time to do it.
Missing an eye. Yeah, and he's also. I think she's also like, he is just like me. He is a person. Like he just looks like a person, right? Like he doesn't. Under the mask, he's not a monster. He's just a person.
He's an incredibly handsome man.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It's like, when the Beast from Beauty and the Beast turns into a man and you're like, wow, he's hot, I guess. It's like that. Ugh.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
I guess she's like, oh, actually, you're hot. So hot. You greasy, little, smelly man.
Yeah, your pants 14 times in this night.
Yeah, you're just like me, except you're way taller and way beefier and a murder man. Basically, you're everything I'm not.
I think it's just he's supposed to be a human. Like she's like, oh, I was expecting you to have like fangs and like a pig nose and like
no, yeah, that makes sense.
Lizard eyes or something. But he looks like a man, and that is what's interesting about Michael Myers is like, how many times have we seen Jason's face? Jason is the one you feel like you should never see his face, right?
Yeah.
Michael Myers, you never really get a clear look at him. It's always just,
and you don't even really in this. He's always moving. Yeah. I'm sure you could pause it.
You get like a Captain Kirk style like eye, like everything shadowed out except his eye, and he has one tear coming down, and you're like, all right, I guess that's all we get. But like, Jason Voorhees, the one who is, when he takes his mask off, he looks either like a Muppet or like a mutant or a human that has
Toxic Avenger.
He has like 2 different looks. And they're always kind of like, ugh, jeez Louise.
In the second one, he that's what I'm thinking of, when his fucking bag comes off and he looks like the Toxic Avenger.
Or in the one we just watched where it comes off and it's like a normal man's face that's inside of like a weird leather sock.
Yeah.
Like, regular guy.
It's like, oh no, I'm the ambulance driver. Spoilers. We basically just get fast forward to like an hour later, I guess it would probably be, because it's like they're at the precinct. Jamie's in the car with the cop. We see the mysterious man walk over and start blasting. We hear the blast from the car that Jamie's in. And then we get the kind of over the shoulder point of view of Jamie going into the cop station and just seeing like carnage. And this is so weird to me that they did it like this. Like it could have just been like an open jail cell, but nope. Jail cell exploded open. blown open.
Yeah, the cult leader threw a grenade in there or whatever.
And everybody was fine. Well, nobody was fine, but Michael Myers is, built by evil or whatever. And the cult leader is like, I know.
That's what the name of this movie should have been. Halloween 5, Michael Myers built by evil.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So we get the Man in Black, his return. We see him once in the movie earlier, and we see him at the end just machine gunning people to death, which is wild because you're like, what was he doing the rest? Was he observing? Was he helping? Was he?
I think he might have been helping behind the scenes a little bit to let Michael Myers moves around this town real fast.
He was driving Michael Myers around
in Michael's car.
Get in, Mike.
Call me Michael, please. All right, Mike. I said, call me Michael.
And then I guess the last note that I want to say about the movie is we did get that one scene that Michael Myers likes to do where he splays all of his kills for somebody else to find. That happens in this, which is kind of a iconic thing that Michael Myers likes to do. But that the credits literally, like, Jamie walks up, a fucking brain child, and somehow like absorbs the moment to realize what's happening, and then the credits just roll. And I'm like, there's like another movie's worth of movie to explain after all of the things we just saw. This is literally like the end of the main loaded, where they're like, stay tuned.
This is where we get like the Saw movie style, like, the first Saw movie, the second Saw movie, they're contained, and then they start to realize like, oh, we're going to make another one of these immediately and release it next year. So let's give a little, tag at the end. People aren't going to be waiting 3 years to see the sequel. They're going to see it next Halloween.
Yeah, I would argue that even Halloween 4 was a intentional effort to be like, we're going to, this isn't going to be movies that stand on their own. This is we're like going for franchise. We're just going for pumping a new movie out every year.
Yeah.
Because you could really feel that, especially in this movie, where it was like there was a character that was in the movie that was only there to hint at a new movie. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Except for like the twist.
I think that was the most egregious part of it.
Yeah, I've never seen that in a movie before. That like Marvel, like, this is different. Like,
yeah. Well, because Marvel has like decades of comics for people to be like, oh, that's the Man in Black.
Oh, they're gonna do this character now, and we're gonna see it realized. Like they introduced Adam Warlock in like one of the 7th or 8th movie, and then we didn't get him until this year. Like,
but it's even crazier because like he just shoots up the prison, right? I'm talking specifically about this Man in Black thing. He shoots up the prison, and then we have the little girl go back in. And she goes, oh God, and collapses and the movie ends. Like, you couldn't have a moment where this guy, after killing the entire precinct, goes up and he could still be in shadow, just have the shape of his hat and stuff that we've already recognized. And then have him have any kind of dialogue.
What if he looked right at the camera and said, and that's the Home Alone of it all?
And he was like,
ding, 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 ding. It wouldn't have even been so bad for me if they didn't touch on, like, at the beginning of the movie they kind of hinted at him, and then one touch point in the middle where he's getting off the city bus for some reason, and then if he just showed up at the end and it was like a cliffhanger ending, like, oh, to be continued, but to make you think that, like, because it just, when you see that happen in a movie, you're like, oh, this is foreshadowing. This guy's going to come back at the end of the movie, or this guy's going to appear. Something's going to happen, and nothing just happens. So it really kind of feels like it falls flat.
So much time passed between the first time you see him and then the end that I was like, is this Loomis? Like, for a moment, I was like, is this Loomis coming to free him? Like, Loomis is like, evil's not dead, and we have to make sure he's free because it's the only way to kill evil.
Loomis is Batman, and Michael Myers is the Joker, but in reverse, kind of.
But then I remembered, oh wait, no, this is like setting up the next movie. And I even think the city bus thing, if it was like a Greyhound bus or like a cross country bus, and him getting off of it at the very beginning of the movie would be far more interesting than him just getting off the city bus in the middle of the movie. At least it would set up that he doesn't have his own vehicle. and that he would need to take the normal city bus later on. Yeah, I think you needed to have that peppered through way more. But if you look into like what the actual plans for this movie were compared to what was made, that was supposed to be a lot more of it. It was
really?
It was a lot less of like psychic connections and more having this like weird man controlling Michael Myers, which then led into the 6th movie, which was like, it's a cult. We've been doing it from the beginning or whatever.
Yeah. And then the franchise was dead for years, I guess, after that, right? Until H2O.
Until H2O, and even that one is a retcon. That's like we're retconning stuff.
Yeah. It's like there's Halloween 1, 2, and then 3 is a different thing, and then 4, 5, 6 are in the same universe, and then 7 ignores everything from 3 on, and then 8 follows 7, and then the 2 Rob Zombie movies are in their own thing.
Yeah,
and they started again. This time they ignored everything except for the first movie.
But at least this time, one of the credits has the great Ghost song. It's a hunter's moon. We need. End of it all.
Sorry, you get cut off when I do that laugh.
Do you guys want to talk about this question before we do the Home Alone of it all?
Which question?
You not see that on the screen there?
Oh, would this movie have scared any of you as teens?
Well, what teen? 13 or 19?
Both, probably yes. Honestly, there's a long storied sort of thing about me that I couldn't handle. I wouldn't be able to turn this movie on to find out if it could scare me, because
I watched this movie as a teenager and it did
how
not
freaked
scare
out
me.
I would have been. It did?
No, it did not.
Oh, it did not. Okay. How about you, Michael?
I mean, yeah, as a young teen, as a 13-year-old, probably, but it wasn't really that scary of a horror movie, I would say. It was more like kind of gory, which the gory stuff doesn't really scare me as much as like the psychological stuff in movies. So yeah,
I think for me at that during that era, the anticipation of horror was scarier than the actual horror that I'm watching. So like I would probably hype myself up and be like really anxious about watching it, and then while watching it would figure out, oh, this is dumb. This is silly and stupid.
I wish I had learned that these movies are mostly dumb so much earlier in my life.
Yeah. But you also find things like the Chucky series where you start to resonate with it and you're like, oh, this is great. Like, I love this. I don't care that it's dumb. This is awesome. And you start to identify more with like the horrifying characters than the ones that are being murdered. And you're like, yeah, Chucky, kill him, Chucky.
I want to watch Chucky kill people the most because he's so hilarious when he does it.
Yeah.
He says he's the Bugs Bunny more so, as it turns out, than Freddy I thought was going to be by now. But Freddy is a bit of a Bugs Bunny as well.
I feel like Chucky is just like a cartoon, like a Looney Tune version of Jack Nicholson just running around in his own universe.
I'm
like,
gonna kill you no matter what. Yeah.
Anywho.
And that's the Home Alone of it all.
Right.
What does the Home Alone of it all mean?
I'm gonna explain it just after the sting.
Oh, sorry.
If you had to pick
Sting me, Daddy.
What do you think the Home Alone of it
When is
all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone of
I
it all
really gotta
happens?
know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all? Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
The original Home Alone of it all Sting was so fucking much better, dude.
You don't like this one?
No, I like this one a lot. Don't get me wrong, but the original one had that fucking Home Alone song in it that we kept getting DMCA'd for.
That's why I had to change it.
I know it's brutal. But the Home Alone of it all is essentially the idea that every movie has that moment of, in the movie Home Alone, when Kevin McAllister sets up the house for traps for Harry and Merv to come in and get wrecked by. And that's the draw, sort of what you came to see the movie for.
Okay.
Well, we posit that every movie sort of has that, whether it just be the third act or the trailer moments. I think every movie has a Home Alone of it all, just like how I think every movie is a movie or a film based on my dumb criteria. So, in my opinion, the Home Alone of it all in this movie is the whole movie. It's just, it starts off with like Freddy, fucking whatever his name is, Michael Myers is introduced almost immediately doing kills. So that my Home Alone of it all is the fucking movie Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
That's a good answer.
But Michael, you of course go next because you are the ghost of it all and the guest of it all.
I'm the guest of it all. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I had to think of this quickly because I wasn't prepared for this.
This is one I should have explained to you. There's another thing I should have explained, but
it's okay. No, it's okay because I do have an answer that came to my mind first, and I trust my first instinct. So, like I said at the beginning, just to get caught up, I watched some YouTube videos on like recapping, the first couple movies, or at least 1, 2, and 4. And so when I saw the ending of 4, I was excited to start. I was like, I can't wait to start this movie so I can see how they resurrect Michael Myers. So for me, the only part I truly cared about in this movie was that first 5 minutes of the movie, so I could see how they resurrected him. And in the end, he crawled through a mine shaft and floated down a river. So ended up being a little anticlimactic, but for me, that's my Home Alone of it all.
Him floating down the river?
Or at least the whole escape process. That's what I came for. That's the moment. That's what I was excited to see.
That's pretty good.
You're like, all right, light it up. Throw some dynamite down there. There's no way he's going to crawl through some sort of mine shaft into a river or anything like that.
And come back 1 year later like he always does. It's impossible. It's never happened 3 times already.
The mystery of the Halloween killer is closed again. All right. My Home Alone of it all. I think it's when Loomis shows up and he's like, no, like out of the, like he's, those like those cloth partitions in a hospital. Like he just like,
that's what I was saying. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's too much. And the fact that he's all like the burn scars are there, but they seem more predominant than they were in the last movie. It's him being the wacky. So almost every other, version of, or not version, but like installment of these movies starts with Loomis being like, no, he's back again. Evil is back. I shot him 6 times. I shot him 7 times. And this time he's just like, no, let her die. They're like, no. We can't let her die. She's like, she won't die because there's evil in her. And you know what they say? Evil never dies. And that's where you start to get the tagline. They don't even really say the tagline of the series in this movie, but it's where they start to say, she won't die. He won't die. He can't die. Like it can't die. And then they add on to that later, evil never dies. And so for me, that's the Home Alone of it all, is the creation of that sort of saying that lives on through the series, even to the ones that come out now. Is like one of the movies throughout the entire movie, they keep saying evil dies tonight, where they've established for so long that like evil never dies. They're like, this time evil dies. And we still don't really know if evil's fully dead, but
they'll just reboot it again in a few years.
Yeah. Rob Zombie comes back and he's like, can I add on and retcon my universe and like add to my universe?
I want to actually make a sequel to Halloween 3.
Yes, me too.
See a sequel to Halloween 3 as well.
It's all about the
but it's in this universe, the universe of Halloween 5.
Oh, right. So it's okay. So like Michael Myers disappears again. The man in black like walks out and Michael Myers is behind him. And then we pan up to like a global shot of the earth and it goes to Great Britain. And we see what are those runes called? the rune.
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. And there's one that like glows and it's got the same symbol that's on his wrist. And something happens after that. I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
There's no way Miramax still exists after the Harvey Weinstein.
No, we'll make it into an HBO series. Home box office will pick it up.
No, Tim is doing research for us at the bottom of the screen, buddy.
Oh, okay. March 10th, this month. Wait.
That's Mario Day.
That already passed. Is it out? Have we been sleeping on this?
March 10th was 16 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate. We have a couple more things we got to do here. Let's play a little MPAA rating game.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
The history of game shows on the internet.
Jason,
My name.
You gotta
is...
wait a couple seconds before you start talking, because you can't hear you. The audio is like overtaking what you're saying.
Welcome to the greatest game show in the history of game shows. My name is Dexter Loomis, and welcome to the MPAA certificate.
Dr. Dexter Loomis.
That's me.
Holy shit.
The rules are simple. I'm gonna give you 2 numbers. You guess 3 numbers. The reason for this is every movie has a 5-digit certificate number. Every movie is given a certificate number because they're all rated by the MPAA. Hi, it's me, Dexter Loomis. And all you have to do is guess a 3-digit number between 0 and 999. And I'm going to give you the first 2 digits. It's cool. And those first 2 digits are 29. And the guest always goes first around the show. Michael, guess a 3-digit number between 0 and 999. I'll tell you if it's higher or lower. You get 2 guesses.
And the first 2 digits are 29?
29, yeah.
So I'm guessing a number between 1 and 10 then.
You're guessing a number between 0 and 999.
Okay, 299.
No, 29.
I think that's his guess.
Am I misunderstanding this game?
It's a 5-digit number. I'm going to give you the first 2 numbers, and you have to guess the next 3 numbers.
Got it. 299.
I like it.
29299.
Why is that hurting my head? Sorry. Higher.
29899.
Higher. Michael.
29999.
Lower.
Shit.
Steve.
Way to narrow it down, Michael. Fuck. You could have went 2950. 29518.
No. Hit the buzzer. Yeah, there you go. And let's hear that sound effect.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
The number was 29954, and I at this point am purely doing it for Tim because he's the only person that likes it. It's kind of meant to just be the chaos that we just saw. It's kind of funny.
Did I win?
You like it? No, nobody won. Everybody loses when you play the MPAA rating game.
Oh, just like Batman v Superman.
Yep, exactly like that. But we have reached the end of the episode, so it is now time to give our final thoughts.
It's time for our final thoughts.
And of course, your final thought is sort of just your in summation, your put it into perspective for all of us. And if you want to give it a rating, whether it be funny out of 10 out of 5, or if you want to make it funny, I said that already. And our guests, of course, always go first. So Mike Mongiardi, hit us with your final thoughts.
Okay, so it was not fun to watch it. I watched it. I had fun, although I did, because of what was happening in my life at that moment. I had to keep stopping it and watching it in chunks, which made it a little more digestible, I think. So I would say I enjoyed myself, but it is objectively bad, and all the acting is bad. and with the exception of the beautiful Danielle Harris, who's now beautiful, and when that movie came out was a small child.
Very well.
Yeah, just to be clear, she's now beautiful. Yeah, but it was fine. It was not great. It was like kind of just felt like a generic horror movie, generic slasher, which is like kind of sad when you think about where Halloween came from. But I think that's the way you're going to feel watching any Halloween movie, pretty much. But this one in particular, because it was a lot of like teens, like being teens. So yeah, that's what I think. But if you want my rating, I'm glad to give you a rating. It's 29954. This will be my rating for this one. And yeah, but what I will say though is I have to watch, for the same reason I couldn't wait to watch 5. Now I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Did that girl come out of jail? Like, I do want to know what's gonna happen next, even though I know I hate that last movie. I remember it being really bad. But I'll probably watch it tomorrow. So I guess I'll go fuck myself. Yeah.
Very good.
I'll pass it off to whoever's next.
That me?
Yeah, you didn't play you got to play the Undertaker bell.
Oh, I forgot about the.
There you go, Steve. What's your final thoughts for Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers?
Well, as I said earlier in my brief history, this is the first of the Halloween movies that made me think maybe it would have been smart for them to make every single one of these movies a franchise film, in the sense that they would change it into an anthology. After the Shamrock incident with the masks, what can we do next? Maybe a werewolf, maybe some sort of gargoyle, maybe a creature of the Black Lagoon situation, a Children of the Corn. Just, do that kind of thing rather than continuously dig up Michael Myers over and over again, because this is when it starts to feel stale and they're introducing things that aren't fun. I don't think that it's fun to connect a little girl to the crimes and have Loomis send cops to it's a lady with cookies. Go find the lady with cookies. She's a big lady with cookies. That's not fun. It's stupid. And like, we know what's going on. It's a lot less fun than we know that Michael Myers is underneath a bedsheet and about to kill somebody. We know that Michael Myers is at a gas station in a mask about to kill somebody, but there's also a little girl telling all the police where to go. That's not fun to me. And I would argue, actually not argue, because Michael, you said the same thing, that the most interesting thing about this movie is that there's a weird man in black floating around and he frees Michael Myers from prison at the end. That was the most intriguing thing. And it is nothing. It's not anything. It's not a fleshed out idea. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just there because they want to set up a sequel. I think it's probably the worst Halloween that we've watched so far. I love 1, I love 2, and I really like 3 a lot. 4 was okay, and this is bad. This is one of those things where I'm like, it's degrading itself. It's degrading itself to a mockery of itself. The Friday the 13th franchise was created as not a lampoon or a parody, but as a cheap knockoff, meant to be a cheap knockoff. And now it's a cheap knockoff of itself, which is kind of disappointing and sad. And like Mike, I want to see what happens in the next one, even though I know what happens in the next one and I know I hate it. I also kind of want to watch and see if the Man in Black immediately is like, Michael Myers, it's me, the Man in Black.
It's like Loomis's identical twin brother or something.
My face is burnt on the other side for some reason.
But you have to wait 6 months to watch it. I'm watching it tomorrow. So.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I can watch it tomorrow.
No, you can't. Jason told me the rules. He knows. He's very strict.
I make all the rules.
I didn't know that you let him read from the actual grimoire. So that's my my rating. Yeah, I give this, instead of like a Loomis burnt on one side or a Loomis burnt on the other side, I give this like a full burnt Loomis.
Wow.
Okay.
We loved it.
So,
Give
I like myself a whiskeyed up, wind up Loomis running around with a gun, not full burnt Loomis.
Give yourself a round of applause for that.
All right. Who is the man in black?
The Undertaker. Not much to say other than it's a standard Halloween. I think I didn't like as much as 4, and it kind of just felt like a chapter with no real stakes. It's just a chapter in the story, you know. He comes back, they capture him, he escapes. Definitely had its moments, and some of the kills were pretty graphic, I guess. And that's pretty much my whole review. I give it a 2.7 out of 5. I give this movie capturing Michael Myers only for him to escape. You can capture the essence. Hey, you can capture the essence of Mike Myers, but you can't necessarily make it a good movie. It was an episode of television. That's my final thought.
I think Mike Myers, the actor, has been feeling that way for years.
Okay, and so real quick, Steve, thank you. Real quick, Steve, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all of the ending, and then when it says "thank you for watching," when you feel it ready, that's when you play the very end United Federation of Podcasts. That's the last thing that has to play. And speaking of, before we get to that, Mike, do you have anything you would like to plug this week, or at all? Next week, forever?
I would just plug in general indie podcasts. You should listen to independent podcasts because there's a lot of cool people like you guys putting out good stuff. And if you're listening to this, you can, support independent artists.
Thank you. We're artists.
I mean,
I'm an artist.
Stop inflating your own ego right now.
Well, thank you for being on the show, Michael. I would like to just let everybody know that you can find us on all social media. Like I said at the top of the show, primarily on YouTube and Twitch, Facebook. There's a Facebook group. You can find us on Instagram, which is kind of where we started. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the United Federation of Podcasts. There's the Live Long and podcast about Star Trek, Trivial Debates, which is a great debate podcast that happens each and every week.
Which we've both been on.
We've both been on.
I was on a Disney episode and you were on The Office episode.
It's true. And I was also on a professional wrestling episode as a contestant. And Steve's coming up on an Avatar episode, I believe. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug that.
Not like Avatar James Cameron. Though I would probably be good on both.
It would be an interesting one. Yeah. There's also X-Rated, the X-Men animated podcast, which they aired tonight as well, and they're going to be doing big things because the X-Men 97 show has just come back. Mm-hmm. There's Hold Up, a movie podcast. Each and every week they cover 3 different movies sort of as a genre and talk about it. I've been on that one. There's Emon on Track, which is sort of a movie podcast. There's the Super Mater Brothers podcast sort of network. Dave Mater has a sort of reality TV vibe with that one. They're doing Survivor right now. I think I'm going to be on that during the season. And there's the Graphic Histories podcast, which is a podcast about graphic novels and comic books and stuff. And I guess that's it. Michael, I hope you can pick up what I'm putting down here. Okay. Try to follow me very closely because I didn't brief you before the show, but there's one important question that's asked each and every week, and I'd like you to ask our viewers that question right now, please.
Okay. You can edit this out if you want, but are you talking about the live 2-hour thing?
I'm talking about the name of the podcast.
Name of the podcast. What's this called again? How did this get made?
How
did this get made?
And this is
hey,
over here.
Have you seen this one?
Close enough.
Hey.